to play some Link to the Past Randomizer. Just open normal mode. We'll work on that, and I'm going to listen to some podcasts. So I think I'm going to play My Brother and Me first. Use their latest episode. Hopefully get the balance right. Apparently it was a little bit too quiet last time.
Brothers are not experts, and their advice should never be followed. Travis insists he's a sexpert, but if there's a degree on his wall, I haven't seen it. Also, this show isn't for kids, which I mention only so the babies out there will know how cool they are for listening. What's up, you cool baby?
It's familiar, but not too familiar. Where am I going? But not too not so familiar. It's a new craze. Hey, good girls, do you wanna just say, hey, I wanna? Just say, hey, I wanna.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to My Brother, and Me, an advice show for the modern era. I'm your oldest brother, Justin McElroy.
I'm your middleest brother, Travis McElroy.
And I'm your New Year's baby and sweet 30 under 31, Griffin McElroy.
We're modern than ever.
Oh, yeah, baby. We're in those sci-fi years now.
It's the most modern we've ever been.
People say we weren't going to make it, and we did. Looks like we made it.
Who said
a lot
that?
of naysayers.
Point them out.
Name them one by one.
Name names.
Alan Alda.
Alan Alda said that?
Damn, I don't want to burn Alan Alda, but if he's talking a bunch of shit about our
Perfect,
ability
almost
to make
dead.
it, then
Yeah, he doubted us, and I guess we showed him.
You know what? It bums me out, especially because I just talked to him like a week ago, and he's like, I always said you guys would make
Bunch
it.
of poop over
That's
there.
the two timing. That's the thing.
Well,
Wow. You know, way to start 2018
Someone was
off
dead
on a bad
anyway.
foot to find out that Alan Alda is a two-faced son of a gun.
I feel a little at sea, though, gentlemen, because we are in a new year, and yet, in a sense, we aren't. In a sense, we are still in a sort of limbo.
Yes.
Because we have not sort of thematically found what this year is going to be about. So we've had a lot of people tweeting at us.
and I'm not sure that they've necessarily helped us. If only anything, they've added more C by giving us a billion very good suggestions of what the year should be.
And just listen, I can't stress enough how much I appreciate the participation which everyone has put
killing
forth.
me
But rhyming teen with things is easy and could apply to any year. So
Yes,
Right.
true.
serpentine worked because it's like 17, but serpentine.
Yeah.
Yeah, even that was a stretch. I think we
That
can
was
all
a stretch,
agree.
but you can't just say like 28
Almost
clean, because that could be
Hit.
That could be anything.
guys, hit
like that could be
huge.
this year or next year. I guess 2020 would have.
I wanted to float one, and we
Can
haven't.
we
We
agree
didn't talk
that
about
2020 is going to be looking forward?
That's not what 2020 means, but sure.
Okay. Clear vision.
I want to float this one because we didn't talk about it last time, but I think it's powerful. I think it has power.
Okay.
And it is 2000 and late teen. And it's like the Black Eyed Peas song, but it's obviously it's been 10 years.
10 years since that tune. And we're all really looking forward to the anniversary. I don't think I speak for
Yeah.
I think I speak for all
The
of us.
reunion. They're going to blow the horn of Gondor, and the peas will get back together in the same.
William
you know,
and Taboo
and
Ferguson.
Ferguson and
Here's one
I'll
from
take it.
Personal Press who says 20 trampoline, time to bounce back.
Now, when you sent that one in, did you know that you were going to change my life on a personal, spiritual level? Because maybe this is the year we get specific about it, and it's like, this is it. Go buy a fucking trampoline and get hot. And then, 20 trampoline, higher and higher.
Now,
I
here's
will
the thing,
say,
though.
I did just say that this is just
Still
like
have a
rhyming
killing
the
me,
teen
right?
part.
Nope, I guess it is.
Okay.
No.
20 bait teen, we're going fishing.
Well,
Who's
That's what
that?
Tyler Petty says 20
Now, is that
bait
like a
teen.
literal? Like we're literally going
like-
fishing, or is this
so-
like catfishing?
I think a lot of parts of fishing seem chill to me.
Yeah.
The one I can't do, I'll fuck up a worm. I don't
How's
care.
the audio
But when the
volumes?
fish is on the hook,
Too big.
that's I can't close that deal. What do I do with this slimy fella?
It's a big worm. If you think about maybe as a big worm with eyes and mouth, it'll help. But no, it won't.
And I can convince myself that worm has done some shit. You know what I mean? But like, I look at a fish, and I'm like, that fish has never
do nothing.
a soul. It's never.
That might be somebody's
Okay.
grandpa with a bunch of stories that got dropped down in the water, transfigurized.
Right, or it could be Don Knotts. You never
Could be Don Knotts.
know.
Most fishes are.
I can fix that.
Also, there's obviously people are going to take that one and run with it in a sort of masturbatory direction, and that's its own can of worms to continue talking about.
Can we
worms.
go there just one step further? Do we already talk about 20 masturbate teen?
We should. 18 is achievable. Easily
Does that
achievable, I would
help
say.
or make it worse?
I want
It's
to
hard
try to
tell.
avoid. What I liked about Serpentine is it's very personal, and I think that we wanted. I don't want
Any better? Can you hear me
that could
okay?
be
Yeah.
easily disappointing. Like, which one was Building Bridges? 2016 Building Bridges. Okay. That required actually two people on either end to sort of like get it done. You know, nobody builds a bridge from one end and then
But
there
that's
you
good.
go. I've never
That's
built
good.
a bridge.
I see. I would argue that we need to move back in that direction
20
as
bucks.
opposed to having more years about individual distrust of the system,
trying
and
to move
almost
in the
Neil
filter.
Breen-esque distrust
See if
of
that-
the system, and more of like where we
How's
can
that sound?
guys, I can't get away from this
find
image
there's a lot
of
of hits
two
on my
horses
microphone
getting
when I have-
doubly strong or triply strong because of their friendship pulling this big cart we call life.
A few people have
This hasn't even made
suggested
any
20
change.
gay teen,
Absolutely.
which I love, except for it is phonetically indistinguishable from 20 gate teen, and I
Yeah.
don't want people to think that
It's
we're
kind of a trade-off.
kind
I'll
of
try
putting up-
reducing it a
putting
little
up
bit more. Maybe
barriers.
it'll cut
Now
down
I
some
like this
of
one
the
from
hits.
Warrior Princess, who suggested 20 blade teen,
They get their
the
blue.
year of Wesley Snipes. Just
Once again,
everybody
specific. That's some specificity.
specific. Everybody can get into Wesley Snipes this year. Also 20 slay
I know how that
teams,
is.
but that could break bad.
Oh, the sword.
Pretty
Yeah, I got him right.
fast, I
Pretty
think.
quick. Yeah,
And
that's the problem with a lot of the.
Hookshot.
Apparently, 8 rhymes
money.
with a lot of sort of.
Nice
I mean,
rhyme. Oh, look at
hate.
that. That's
Like
great.
it
I've
rhymes
tried
with a lot of
Right.
words that I don't think we want to make the sort of
20
the motto.
skate teen, bringing back rollerblades.
20 skate teen back from the brink.
20 skate team.
I feel like I'm really fucking good at coming up with the subtitles and really bad at coming up with the
This is
year
right.
names.
I think the best I can do for that whipping at my.
Because we did talk about like mount up, and somebody suggested 20 regulate teen, and I'm sorry that I can't remember.
Or just regulate. No, we got a billion people saying like, how could you not say regulate teen after saying mount up as much as you did?
Yes.
And I don't know that that's the right spirit of the thing.
Yeah.
I
Now-
have one that I'm very enthusiastic about
Okay.
because like I said, the horses. That's very much our thing.
Stuff up front here.
Pulling carts, working together, friendship, love.
Anything else?
Last episode or last non-live episode, I suggested 20 mate teen stronger together, and we got a lot of tweets from people concerned about 20 mate teen being sort of the thing because it sounds like almost a Paul Ryan-esque sort of challenge
I did
to
mention that
increase-
specifically in the moment, I believe. Yes.
So how about this? And we've gotten this from a lot of people. I can't claim credit for it, but I think it's kind of great. Collaborate, teen, stronger together, because that can mean anything.
Library.
That just means 2 hearts, 2 minds, 2 souls, or more. Many souls, many hearts
It's
or
important
minds.
to me, Griffin, that it does not mean anything. It has to. We need to give it some sort of boundaries, I think, for it to be an effective.
Bunch of junk.
I do like collaborate teen.
Well, that's it. That's it. It could mean like creatively, if you have a thing that you want to do
good over
that
here.
you struggled with or been hesitant to do, get somebody else, a like-minded individual on board who can help you like fulfill your dreams. It can also mean like get involved
I can check
with
this sledge
something that's
before I actually
important
go
to
over
you.
here,
Maybe
but,
let's go fucking rain fire down on the midterm elections. Just a fucking
Sometimes
biblical
just gotta-
reckoning
gotta
on those, on them
walk on the
shits.
back if it is something
I'm
good.
very into that. Collaborate, team. We're stronger together. You're strong alone, but we're stronger
I'll take it.
together.
It could be collaborating as far as like, as Griffin said,
Like having
creativity
some money,
or
'cause I
like,
need buy potions 'cause I
like
suck.
social action. but it could also be like accountability. You know what I mean? Like having a friend that you like keeps you on track of your writing project while you keep not necessarily working together so much as just like that like horse
it is
looking
necessarily
across
working together. It is.
but that's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be working together on the same project so much as be working together to help one of you
To
fail.
help one another become
These
stronger,
bombs work random
validate
whenever
one
you uncover
another.
them. So.
Validate
Good
team.
stuff.
Here's one
Validate
from
team's pretty good.
John, who says navigate team.
Navigate.
All hands on deck. I love that. I love sailing. I love nautical. That sort of vibe.
What are we navigating though?
Just
Life's
it.
choppy waters.
Just navigating it.
We're just navigating it. This big blue spaceship we call Earth. Listen. I'm willing to throw my hat.
I'll get
hat over the fence.
Yeah,
My weight
look
throw.
like
Why did you just throw a hat at Collaborate Team?
I'm willing to throw my support behind Collaborate Team.
I think that's my Huckleberry.
Because not only do I
always
like
forget
the
a bit
spirit of it, I
cave
also like
over
that
here
we
sometimes,
wouldn't
so
have to say 20 at the
check
beginning of it every time,
Yeah.
which I think is a little played at this point, and we're gonna keep doing it for the next in 82 years.
And then when 2118 rolls around, we
Get
can
out
just
of
do it again.
Yeah.
God,
So
God,
I
God,
think
God,
Collaborate
God.
Team
Oh, God.
stronger together.
And then just a picture of a bunch of horses pulling the world out of
Arrows,
orbit.
God!
Yes.
Not worth
Maybe
it.
pulling it so that like global warming's
Come get
not
the
an
cave
issue
later.
anymore.
Pulling
Oh,
it
I have
away
theory.
from the sun.
Perfect.
Yeah, we moved 1 degree over one centimeter
Pay attention.
out of our
That's
orbit.
how we're gonna fix this whole thing. Just get a little bit further away from the sun. Not very far, but just a
Not
little
very
bit
far.
further.
Nope.
Which I
It
actually
seems
think will give us
achievable.
like one more day a year. That's just like a rest day.
Yeah.
I actually think that that's a Futurama plot now that I'm thinking about it.
Alright.
But anyway, stronger together.
Justin, do we have a consensus?
I'm just want to make sure we've thought about all the different things.
Well, hum a few more at us, big boy.
Do you guys know what spate means? I don't, but I thought there might be something there.
I think it's like a fight.
Jazz hands, guys.
It's like
Jesus.
no, that's a spat.
Alright, let's go back.
Okay, spate is a
Building a
large
basement
number of
of this
similar
sanctuary.
things or events appearing in or occurring in quick succession. I mean,
This is nothing.
that's nothing. Okay, let me pitch one out that we did talk about earlier that I wanted to give one more chance here.
Okay.
20 slates clean.
But like, I still have the same reservations about it, in that I don't want anybody to start over. I don't want anybody to start over. That's the sentiment that might have carried us into 2017. Where we're like, boy, 2016 sucked. 2017, slate's clean. Let's do this thing. And 2017 was like, a dump, and it dumped all over. And then it was like, wow, I wish I hadn't had a clean slate. I wish I had some of my experience points left over from the previous year to help bolster me going into this new game plus. 2018, we're a little bit wiser. Now we know. It's time to
Is this collaborating or 20 collaborating? Because I
20
feel
collaborating is such a vicious mouthful. It
It's
actually
so
stung
bad.
my mouth to say it.
I think Collaborate Team.
but it's like
Now, what about Justin? Can I take your idea and just put a little spin on it?
sure, not my idea, but go on.
Blank Slate Team, and it's just all about the movie Blank Slate.
Let me hit
Blank,
you with
me
this.
blank check teen.
How
about
Let's go do a
captivate
I'm
team?
gonna go to
Can't look away.
my notes and do a
From what?
Now, once
Exactly.
again, that's a
Hyrule Cave.
good turn of phrase, I guess, but not super actionable
Hyrule
as far
Cave.
as what to do this year.
Aspirate team. Just breathe.
No, aspirate is when you choke on your own vomit.
Well, yeah,
Don't
but after
don't
that,
aspirate teen.
fluoridate teen.
Nope.
Keep those teeth. No. Germinate teen. Watch it grow.
Watch what grow? This is the thing. You keep referencing these arcane subjects.
Lubricate teen. Get it wet.
Jesus God, Justin.
Now hold on. We might have something here.
Now get what yet? You might be wondering. The year.
Get the year wet. Just a sloppy, slimy year.
Machinate teen. Watch
Flip
the
it
gears
flappers.
turn.
No, okay, once again, what does that mean?
What?
It means devise a plan and
Devise a plan and watch the gears
watch
turn.
it grow. Get it wet.
Elucidate team.
That little
Becoming
float.
clear.
Glad it came to
Wait, no, that makes it sound like we're Scientologists.
Becoming Scientologists. Hey,
Yeah.
maybe this is it. Maybe this is a year.
This is the year.
Relocate teen.
2018. Time to audit.
Okay.
There's someone with like Illuminate, but it's about Illuminati.
But that's literally all you just said, and it wasn't much.
Oh, okay.
All right. I think
We've
the
done our due
collaborate
diligence at this point.
collaborate teen. I think is the standout.
So check Zelda cell.
So I think we can officially say it at this point that this year, the year of our Lord 2018, has been redubbed Collaborating.
And you don't got to do this. You don't got to do this today.
Who is our Lord that was born 2018 or whatever years ago? What Lord are we referencing here?
The one true Lord, Jesus of Nazareth.
Oh, wow. Okay, I thought there was going to be a joke in there. But,
There's no joke. There's only Jesus of Nazareth, King of Kings and Lord of Lords, the
right.
true Christian God.
wow.
A strange twist of a strange sort of. Okay.
Is this our ICP twist?
Yeah.
The lamb, guys. The lamb.
The big one, the big guy. So we should make it clear.
Jesus.
Yeah, you
Oh, I
don't got to
boomerang.
do this. today.
Emmanuel.
Him. All right. You don't got to do this right now. I feel like that's the problem with our mottos is people are like, it's January 2. I need to start zacking right now. And you get burnt out and you don't follow through. It's just think about it. Think about what you could do that could be improved with the help of another person and how you can help them. That's what it's all about.
This is how I see it working best,
This
right?
NMG
This is how I
strats.
think all of our years should be implemented moving forward. I think that this is something that when you find yourself in a situation, right, where you would normally say no, or you would normally do something by yourself, or you would normally whatever, I want you to hear in your head, collaborate team. And you say, no, you know what? I could use some help. Thank you for asking. Right?
to reach out.
That's what I'm saying. So, like that, I don't want it to be like, okay, guess I gotta go. I don't want you to have to feel that way. You can if you want to. But instead, I want this to be that little, the pebble in the stream that just changes the current a little bit for you.
Perfect.
Right? That's how I think it is most actionable as a gentle guide to your year.
I would love to collaborate with you two
And listen.
Jags to do the podcast that we do sometimes.
Oh, okay. Sheesh. Kind of rushing it, but let's get into it.
It's been 20 minutes.
We take your questions and turn them alchemy like into wisdom. It's an advice show, as you've almost certainly
Clearly.
guessed. My friend is kind of an awkward guy. When he doesn't know how to reply in a text, tweet, post, or chat, he will throw in a random emoji. I think he thinks it's funny, but it's not. At best, it grinds the conversation to a halt and forces the other person to pivot awkwardly because it doesn't make any sense. At worst, the emoji he chooses end up being kind of insulting. For instance, today I asked him what I should get a mutual friend for their birthday, and he replied with a snoring emoji, which was super rude. I told him off, and he didn't get why I was mad, because it was just a random choice for him. How can I teach him the art of emoji use, or even better, get him to stop? And that's from Exhausted by Emojis.
I think 2018, collaborate, stronger together, pull the world out of orbit. It's all very important. But I would love to have sort of a secondary thing going on where we ban the use of the word emoji and we try to find a different word for these little guys. Because icons is good. Face cons.
Tiny pictures.
Tiny pics. Little guys.
Are you
Anything-
worried because
anything.
emojis sound so much like emotions that some people might be confused
Yes.
that emoji is this new teen slang for emotions, as I was back in
Yes.
2013?
Absolutely.
Okay.
This is a boy. What a.
I'll tell
what
you
a,
the problem. The problem here is clearly the emojis being chosen, the tiny pics being chosen are not random enough. Like, what should we get our friend for a birthday? You're going to want to use that little, like, the cable car that hangs from the wire that goes between Mountain Chalet
That would've
and
been
Switzerland, right? That's random. No one's ever going to get offended by Skytram car.
It drives me crazy when the keyboard on my iPhone tries to autocomplete with a picture. Like, I type in bread, and it meant, like, did you mean a picture of bread? And it suggests that to me. Like, no, I actually didn't. I'm kind of 37 years old, so I'm just going to keep using words for now. The last thing I was the person on the receiving end of this shopping list to have to solve a fucking rebus to know what I need from the store. It's
and that is
ridiculous.
what this person. I get having social anxiety, and even in sort of telecom scenarios, definitely. Because my go-to is just not responding at all, and I don't know what is worse in this situation: not responding or responding with this sort of random. A random sort of piece of art for them to interpret. Because I think that's even a little bit more annoying than just like, oh, well, Griffin's anxious and not responding to this.
My worldview on all this really shifted when I found out one of the emojis means dick. And I think after that moment, I really had to start getting more careful. I mean, you can't randomly choose emojis when one of them means penis.
And one means butt.
Yeah, the peach one is a fanny. So what I'm confused about is how eggplant got picked for this and not the hot dog. Did we have a vote? I don't remember voting on this.
Is the hot dog emoji just a loose hot dog, or is it not in a bun?
No, it's on a bun, but I mean, you get the idea.
I would have thought it'd be banana or
Well,
cucumber.
the problem is hot dogs come up in conversation all the time. I'm very rarely talking about eggplant, but I can't have a conversation about ballpark snacks where, like, people think.
Do you want to go to the game and get a penis? You know?
Yeah. I guess the context does help there.
But I guess you don't really use the word eggplant as much as you use hot dog, and that is me. Unless you live in, like, Italy, where they eat those dang little purple guys all the dang time, and you think over there people are texting just like, yo, why are you talking to your own mom about dick? And it's like, no, it's about dinner tonight, because we are eating an eggplant parmesan.
It would also probably be a problem if, like, you're just a huge fan of Captain N, and you're just, like, constantly
Jesus
recounting.
Christ, Travis.
What's wrong? What happened, Griffin?
It's just you've. That's a very obscure reference, my boy.
I would like to go back in time now and watch the Captain N cartoons and think of King Eggplant. What was he?
Eggplant
Lizard is a penis.
Yeah.
As a representative, excuse me, as a metaphor for a penis.
It's actually from Kid Icarus, which I get. If when you look at it that way, it's an angel just blasting dongs nonstop. Which maybe that game had more sort of heavy religious undertones than we gave it credit for.
You guys, Kid Icarus.
I really feel bad for Eggplant Wizard the day he found out about the whole penis thing. That must have been because that's my whole brand. Like his whole brand's kind of wrecked. He's got an eggplant like on the end of his staff. Like that's ridiculous now.
Mm-hmm. And there was probably a delay too, where he was just like, I don't know what this new surge in popularity has been. What's that? Oh.
Well,
I'm a penis now.
Shed a tear for the ice climbers who are climbing this whole dang mountain when they get to the top to get the penis emoji at the top of it. And they didn't own that. That wasn't their choice. Mm-hmm. So should we talk about something accessible?
Yes, please.
How about a Yahoo?
Yeah, that sounds good.
I need to tell you guys something about Yahoo now on January 1st, 2018.
I feel like the tongue in its face
fucked.
is
the website.
Well, calling it that
is
first of all,
full blown Y2K kernel panic fucked up bad. Where
Is this going to be the year we lose it? You think?
If this is
feel
any
like
indication, then the website has
naughty things.
it has crossed the event horizon
not
down
really-
the
not really
internet
that much of an
drain.
issue.
Because I'm looking at it now, all the elements on the page are
if it
aligned
was
in
like
a
the
single
tongue out
column,
and like a
meaning
piece
they're
on
all
overlapped
just on
on
top of
each
each other.
other,
Meaning I
that was
can't
good
read
naughty.
a lot of it, which
Why am
was
I walking?
difficult.
I
I had
can
to
just
pick
swim there.
questions that didn't have a lot of additional details.
Wait, and this is like all of the questions? And
Everything.
like,
The website. It's fucking gone. Y2K hit it 18 years late. It's fucked up bad. So, I have a question here that I'm very drawn to because I can't
$5 for
read any of the additional details about it. And with that in mind, I want to dive into this one. Abby sent it in. Thank you, Abby. It's from, I don't know. It's covered up. But it's asked by a person who's named, I'll call them Ronaldo, asks, can I eat twice at Denny's? What does this mean? Does this mean can I eat there twice in 1 week or twice in 1 day? Or, how I like to interpret it, you've just ordered and completely eaten either on a dare or voluntarily, a Denny's egg mess. And then they say, here's your check, and you pay it, and they bring it back, and they say, all right, you have a nice day. And you say, actually, hold on a minute. I think I'd like to go again.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to go again. And you can walk me back up to the host table and walk me back down to either this seat or a different seat if you'd like to. But I think I'd like to do a Denny's again.
Can I go one more again?
One more again, please.
One more
and I know
again?
you're wondering why not
One
just
more
order
again.
2 entrees in the same... Nah. It's twice at the Denny's.
So bring me the check for round 1.
All right.
Yeah.
And then let's fire it up again.
And let's see, and I want to compare and
I like
contrast,
60.
certain elements
not
of
really bad at
service.
some of these fights.
Do you order the same dish again and just check their consistency?
Ooh.
Because at Denny's, when you get the egg mess, I imagine consistency is not a top bullet point sort of strength.
When you guys go out to eat and you order, right, and the server person takes away your menu, do you ever feel this moment of completely irrational panic when they take the menu away?
Every single time.
Ab-
Every single
absolutely.
time.
Especially if they have, this kills me when they have a lot of fun cocktails.
Yeah.
In there. Like, actually, I'm going to drink more. So go ahead and leave that with the table, please.
Or, cool pictures of food and people eating them that I might just want to enjoy during my meal.
And
Yeah.
recreate.
And recreate with my great friend.
And
That's how I feel, especially if they have a lengthy dessert section in the menu. And I'm just like, but I don't know if I want that yet.
Okay, so we'll have that right out. Let me grab your menus. Well, hold on a moment, because I seem to have fallen in love with one of the people inside the menu, and I would love to have them here with me, dining with me.
I'm going to cut them out and Lars and the real girl them.
Do you have the contact info for your menu models?
Do you think it's because they don't want you to compare the pictures of the food
That
with
is
the
definitely
food that you're
it. That's
using, right?
100% it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, if you should just accept that if you're eating at a restaurant with pictures of the food in the menu, it ain't going to look like that. They're not going to get it right. They're not
That's
going to
ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
They are always off
big
put.
list,
Like,
like
well,
a
actually, I'm
thing
going to
here.
hold on. Oh, you're going to. Oh. Okay. Well,
That was even upstairs.
I guess okay. Well, I'm gonna have to check with my manager.
And here you'd need to, because you need to plan for round 2 during round 1. I'd like
you
to
think
do
about it,
Applebee's again.
They should really have enough menus for everybody to enjoy a menu while they're at the restaurant. Why don't they have enough for everyone? This one's
It's all
mine.
good.
You borrowed it to
Oh,
me
Pepper?
for the entire
Food Pearl, everything's here.
Well, I'll tell you, before anybody tweets to this, having worked in the restaurant industry, is because people are horrible monsters, and if you leave their menu with them, they will inevitably get food in it and stuff and ruin the menu. That's why so many menus are laminated.
But that's my fucking
are
right.
terrible.
That is my God-given right,
check Spiral
inalienable, given to me in the Bible, to ruin the menus at the
What about
restaurants
this?
I go to.
What about this? Printed off piece of paper, right? When you hand it to someone, when you sit them down at the table, you hand it to them. You say, "That's yours to keep.
Yeah, yuck it up.
That's yours."
Here's
that
3
piece of paper.
crayons.
It says Todd at the top. That's
Here's
yours.
here's 3 crayons. Have fun.
Go to town.
And you know when you see kids menus that do this, Travis, by the way, you've just invented kids menus, and you see them coloring on it and not really engaging in conversation with everybody else at the table. You know you look at them like, oh, damn, that looks fun. Damn, that looks good.
They got this whole activity there to do. Oh, I love
I
that
never
activity.
doodle, and I never do little jumbles. I would love to do a jumble right now.
How
Instead
good
of talking about my friend, how it's going at work.
How good would it be if people started like awkward dinner conversation and you looked up like, I'm halfway through my maze, so just
you.
pump the brakes.
You're gonna
with
have to
that for
circle
me.
back, a thing which I cannot do because I keep running into all these dead ends.
We're so off topic about double time. Double food. Can you? Yes. Should you? Yes. Next question.
Do you have to go to the back of the line? Or can you, do you get preferential treatment because you're kind of a repeat?
I feel like if there's a
Customer.
line
Get here
long
if I
enough that you have to wait, you might talk yourself out of it while you're in the line.
I can't imagine how I would feel as a Denny's employee if a customer finished. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, signed bill. Okay, great, thank you. Stood outside silently, but mouthing the words, counted to 60, and then walked back in and said, 1 for Denny's, please.
Yeah.
I think I just called the police.
Yeah, for everybody in the situation, that would probably be the best sort of outcome. Do you think Denny themselves would show up at that point and say, like, you've done it, you've solved my puzzle, the Empire is yours. Now you're in charge of Denny's.
You know the story about the boy who got all of the Denny's he wanted?
You can, like, hook up through the
Yeah,
blocks
they
while
get
they're
his
moving.
stomach pumped.
If you time it right.
You didn't finish your first egg mess. You get nothing. Good day, sir.
My big worry would be that the Frisch's big boy would be watching from across the street. Like, that's painful. It hurt enough that you went one time over to Denny's, but he knows that you're full now. Like, you don't even want to come see what I have to offer.
I thought I was your big boy.
I thought I was your big boy, you said.
You said I was your big boy.
The other night, I ripped my pants at a local bar. That's not me, Justin, talking, although it very well could be. Except for me being at a bar. I guess. I stayed until the end of the event I was watching. How much do you have to rip your pants to leave immediately? Is this a condition that you can, quote, pull off? And that's from Split Decision in KC.
Man, I don't want to get too Andy Rooney on it, but, like, I've seen pants in all kinds of different states of both array and disarray, and just not question the fact that it was like a legitimate style decision. And so I feel like I'm not the best person to ask this question, but I do want to state that right now and last night at the New Year's Eve event, I am and was wearing my ripped pants that I ripped on an episode, My Brother and Me. I can't let these things go. I love them. I'll never let go.
When did you tear them?
When he was trying to pull his pocket out.
I was trying to pull my pocket out toward the pants. And
yeah.
This is a small hole, and I think that's acceptable. Although you can, if you look very closely, see MeUndies.
The question stands, how far would you have to rip your pants before just sitting down until you're done isn't an option?
Well, if it's on your butt, you can sit down for as long as you want, because that's where the butt is. I don't know if you know that, Trav, but the butt is on the back, and it's
That's
where
a great
the seat
point about
goes.
where the butt is.
That is where the butt is. You are
The butt's
right.
on the back, and that's also where a chair goes. So
I think my pants would have to rip from my waistband above my butt all the way around to the waistband at the front.
it's going to have to. Travis is right. It's going to have to be a logistical issue. It's going to have to be a like cold comfort issue.
Yes.
If it is no longer comfortable because you're letting too much of the elements outside inside, and your shit's not freshness locked, then I think it's probably time to get up and go.
Right. If they've become chaps.
Yes.
If at any point they become chaps and you didn't make that decision before you left the house, then it's probably time to get in the car and go home.
I was actually thinking about this because, like, now since having a baby and carrying around a diaper bag that has, like, changes of clothing and stuff in it, I thought about, like, why do we ever give that up? Like, why do we ever give up, like, having a backpack that's just like, yeah, at any given time, I have another pair of pants and another shirt in there, just, like, whenever. Right? Like, my life becomes way more rough and tumble the older I get, it seems.
Does it?
No.
What's going on? No, come on. You can't just say a bunch of shit.
I eat a lot of strawberries and I just get really into them,
All right, so Travis is a big, yucky brown bear. Just making a mess in the brambleberry patch.
This is not the first time we've had a question about someone ripping their pants and be like, what do I do now? And the thing is, I understand this because this happened to me once when I was working at Best Buy, and I ripped my khakis, and I had this moment of like, well, here I am.
Well, then let me suggest this. Instead of a
What do I do?
backpack you carry around everywhere, which that's an issue because somebody's like, uh-oh, Travis's backpack looks a little bit thinner. So I'm wondering what happened. They're going to assume it was a Dookie mistake. And you don't maybe necessarily want to own that. Instead of that, a backpack that you carry around everywhere. Because a lot of places won't let you in with a backpack because they think you're a thief. And they won't say that to your face, but I will. Instead of a backpack, what about a series of dead drops located in some of your most frequent bars? So you go to your local. Your local bar's a great place for this because the local bar, like Dookie mistakes, probably aren't even like the number one thing here. It's like
There's
a spilled, drink spilled, nacho cheese whoopsies, maybe
some escaped cherry from some sort of
the bartender was doing a frickin' trick and the cherries went and landed right on your pants and it makes it look like a nasty
Julia.
stain, and so you go to the dead drop that you have in the bathroom, duct taped to the back of the toilet chamber, like in Godfather. But instead of pulling a revolver out that you'll use to kill two men, you pull its new pants
that you use to kill two men.
No.
Oh no! Wait, sorry. Don't kill with your
That's
pants.
my. This is my work. This is my place. And then under this one particular box of this one, household device that I know nobody ever uses. Nobody's ever going to buy one of these things. This jalopy. It's just full of new pants that I can use. And
If I was going to do it, I would do this for underwear. Because I think that the odds of me ruining underwear are immensely higher.
Well, they're the first line of defense, right? That's it. They're the 300 phalanx.
She's only watching because I made her watch,
protecting the
essentially.
captain.
Also, I think it would ease a lot of anxiety on my part if I knew that, like, if my day, was sort of running a little long and I needed a little get up and go, the ability to just throw on some clean undies, I think would be huge for just my whole mental state.
Oh, okay. I'm going to pitch this because this is what I think I would both need and appreciate it most. From now on, whenever I attend some sort of convention, I'm going to duct tape a fresh pair of MeUndies and socks somewhere in the convention for next year. And then I'll just know that they're there.
I mean, why fucking stop there? New undies, new socks, a, like, nourishing face mask that you can just, like, get in the toilet stall and just, like, plop that on, and maybe like a little 5-hour energy drink, or actually something that is good.
Made you kind of.
Something good. A bottle of water that you can use to just sort of freshen up, and then you come out and you're just a new person. Hello. Wow, you seem. Must have had a great bathroom trip.
$3.
You could say that. Are you talking about a big shit you took? I don't know.
Why are you winking at the camera?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Care package secured. Wink.
Self-care package.
Self-care
package. That's what we call it.
Now, at this
Where would
point,
you guys hide? Where would you guys hide? We're all pretty homebodies
get in here.
at this point in our life trajectories. Where would you drop your dead drop?
upstairs.
That's a bad.
What a lot of flexibility that would give to my day, huh?
Yeah,
Don't you think?
Whoa, look out. I don't know, probably like in the CBG airport. I tend to be there a lot, like in the Max and
airport
Armos.
is such a, oh my God, Travis, see them across every airport in this great country of ours. Every time I fly to a new airport, the Atlanta airport, the Nashville airport with its long layovers, I have never been in the Nashville airport and not wanted to.
Let's walk through it. Hi, excuse me. Yes, my name is Travis McElroy. This is my license. I'm looking for a discreet location in the airport where I can duct tape a mysterious package to.
It's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission on this specific. They don't
Listen,
gotta know.
the level of discretion, Justin, yes, there's a challenge there. I'm going to have to, but think it's possible. Let me suggest this.
You can't just skip out halfway out of a sentence when you do not have an ending to the sentence.
Well,
you can't
again, we're talking about circumventing airport security measures.
I know that there are places where you can, like, there are places in airports where you can, like, rent. Basically, it's like a tiny hotel room for, like, an hour to nap in.
What are you talking about?
This is the thing.
Yeah,
it's
it's a
not
thing.
in every airport, but yeah.
Yeah, little micro hotels in the airport.
I think maybe there's like a locker in there. If that exists, I could do that.
Is this what the American Airlines Admirals Club is? Like, if I went into if I ever got behind those glistening doors, would I just find dozens of duct tape underwear to the wall for rich
Well, the
people?
original name was the American Airlines Clean Butt Experience. Why don't you go to Shoe Shine? Go to Shoe Shine. Slip them a hundo. Just say, I need to keep something here. And then you'll be arrested.
Okay, damn it. I think that there's something to this, though, because I think you could make this like a form of geocaching, where it's like, take some underpants, leave some underpants.
Oh, Travis. I hadn't even considered the act of, take a penny, need a penny.
Right? Like, you open up an app on your phone, and it's just like, do you need fresh socks? Cool. 20 feet to your right, go down that alley.
All it would take is one, and I don't want to get too blue here, but bad apple who puts some maybe less than clean stuff in there. and then it
Back.
spoils the bunch.
One bad apple,
Oh my gosh.
if you
All
will.
right, bye.
I mean, you put literally a bad rotten apple in the bag of dead drop underwear, and none of it's going to be wearable.
Well, that is the thing. Like, it's no matter how good you are at hiding this stuff, it's always going to be a risk if you start counting on it.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, you know what? I don't even have to worry about this because I know I got that underpants
But if you
over there.
can't count on it, there's no point in this.
No, it's there if you need it, and it like,
Yeah.
oh, thank God this worked. But you can't take it for granted that it's going to be there. You can't be like, well, I have to pee, but rather than find a bathroom, I'm just going to like burn this one.
Hey.
This is just a burner underpants.
This
you
is
can't
it.
do that.
Collaborate team. You have underpant, leave underpant. Maybe just start doing this. Next time you're at the airport, you pack too many underwear, and you're leaving. You're not coming back because then all your
The old
stuff's
man,
done.
the sanctuary for
But
hearts.
you got a fresh pair. You don't need it.
Take it to
Just hide it
Jesus.
somewhere and put that energy out there in the universe. It's a secret. They'll come back to you. You won't want them to.
You're not
Could
an old man in
you
the
start-
sanctuary who gives hearts.
Could you do this mobily? Could we have some buttons made up
You're not.
that are like, just ask me, I've got them, and then a picture of a wink,
You
and
had
people
so many
see
chances.
that button, and they know that you're packing undies for them.
A chance if you don't
Yeah.
Ooh, yes.
That's a good conversation, too. You're the one with the underwear for me, right? No. A lot of us have red carnations, so...
So we should have talked about it more before we started. Hey, let's take a break and go over to the money zone.
Do you think everybody's going to think that we're messy underwear boys, though? Because I just worry that we talked about it for like 20 minutes and people are
I
going to think
think
we're just sort of messy underwear boys.
We've been doing this show like 369 times, something like that. If they wanted to build a case file against our messy underwear abilities, they would have plenty of evidence to compile a very compelling case.
So tell me about Casper Trap.
I traveled
Hey, what's up?
out of the last like 10 days, 9 of them, and I missed sleeping on my Casper mattress so much. Not only emotionally and mentally, but physically. My body craved that Casper comfort. I missed it so much. And like, this
As
is
somebody
not
who
a
you
joke.
spent 3 of those days with, thank you very much.
Listen, I love you, and I love my in-laws, and I traveled to LA, and I love my friends, and I love my coworkers and shit. But I don't love any of you as much as I love my Casper mattress. I'm sorry. My Casper mattress is my closest and dearest friend. He's
buy this
always
thing?
there for me, wrapping his loving arms around me. I love him, and it's so comfortable. Oh, it's the best. It's the best. I love it.
Do you
Do you
want to
wanna
talk
do-
about how people
yeah.
can secure their own Casper? What are you doing?
Oh, we have an ad. Oh, I was just talking about how much I love my Casper mattress. Well, Casper brand mattresses combine multiple supportive memory foams for a quality sleep service with the right amounts of both sink and bounce and sounds and bink. And you can be sure of your Casper purchase with a 100 nights risk-free sleep on it trial. So start sleeping ahead of the curve with Casper. Get $50 towards any mattress purchase by visiting casper.com/mybrother and using the promo code mybrother, all one word,
Nicer
at
to do when you
checkout.
have
Terms and
boobs,
conditions
but-
apply.
I want to tell you about Stamps.com. Can I tell you about Stamps.com? Because we're a podcast, and we're the only ones that are going to tell you the truth about Stamps.com, and here it comes. It brings you all the amazing services of the U.S. Postal Service right to your computer. And that's the dang truth about it. You can just use your computer, you can print out any official U.S. postage for any letter or package, any class of mail, and you let the mailman pick it up. No leaving the office, no lugging mail to the post office, no more hassle. It's super convenient. It's great. Sometimes maybe you don't have time to leave the house and go, run errands. And so with Stamps.com, they bring the errands to you, which, God, I wish that literally this service was offered for, everything I have to do in my life. Actually, I say that, but it pretty much is. We're getting there.
I was going to say, it's 2018.
Yeah. Right now, you can enjoy the Stamps.com service with a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus postage and a digital scale. Are you ready for a happier new year? Well, I hope so. Just go to Stamps.com and click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in My Brother. That's Stamps.com. Enter My Brother.
I love to mail shit.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm getting pretty excited about this. I'm signing up right now.
Are you really? Is that why you're not reading the Jumbotron?
Yeah, hold on. I'll get back to it.
Okay.
News Goblins is a weekly podcast focused on hard news, not hard news, nerd
I mean,
news.
it's hard. It is challenging
just
sometimes.
Challenging
Hard
nerds. Hard nerds. get swole with these hard nerds.
Silvers.
Nerd news,
Take it.
nerd culture, nerd relationships, and maybe goblins. News Goblins is hosted by Jared and Leslie Anderson, real, live, married weirdos with graduate degrees in writing and publishing credits in places like Asimov's, Drabblecast, and Escape Pod. Jared and Leslie are curious, silly, creative professionals who love to discuss serious and not so serious topics with a mix of humor and insight. You can find out more at newsgoblins.com.
Or on iTunes.
Yeah,
Search iTunes for News Goblins.
Yeah. I got another message here from Clayton, and it's for Yoshi, Eli, and Ruggles. Hell yeah, those are some choice names all around, dude. Told you I'd get one. Okay. Got a little hard there. Anyway, congrats on being the coolest group of people ever and inspiring me to create every single day.
Collaborate team.
Collaborate team, there it is. Here's to another year of talking to bears, gambling with goblins, and going to Banger for chicken wings. I love you, Time Traveler Boy, Stab Child, and Yoshi, but spelled with a B emoji. And as always, Rudy dies. That
Pretty
seems
sure it's
like
Bangor. Maine?
Bangor just does not trip off the tongue in the same way. But I
just meant banger. I bet they have a lot of fun with that turn of phrase up there, though. Like, it's a banger. Get it?
Yeah.
It's our turn, kind of. Boy, I'd love to go eat some chicken wings. That's my main takeaway from this sweet message.
We have one more message. This is for Claire, and it's from Ivy. It says, Claire, I need to tell you something. I'm gay. I know this is sudden. I'm not sure if you suspected when you proposed to me. I look forward to building a forge in our backyard where we'll create powerful silverware and other sacred artifacts to pass down to our children. I love you.
This is the fucking best. There
That's
is
a
very
good
little
message.
punctuation in this message, which makes it reads like a just a very energetic. It's a lot of sort of thoughts and ideas crammed into this message, and I adore it.
Knowing the speed at which people had to operate to get a Jumbotron in 2018, I think we're going to see a lot of fucking radical stream of consciousness Jumbotrons
Some
this year.
E. Cummings like slam poetry.
SF Sketchfest is just around the corner, January 11th to 28th, and there will be plenty of Max Fun shows there to represent. We're bringing Judge John Hodgman on the 11th, Jordan Jesse Go with special guest Andy Richter on the 12th, Smatters on the 14th. We Got This with Mark and Howe also on the 14th. The Greatest Generation and Podcast Super Show on the 17th. Pop Rocket host Guy Branum's talk show The Game Show on the 19th. One Bad Mother on the 21st. You can learn more about these shows and get tickets at MaximumFun.org/SFSketchfest18. Get your tickets now.
How about a Yahoo?
Yep.
Okay, again, it's fucked up really bad. It was sent in by Level 9000 Drew Davenport. Thank you, Drew. And it's from, I don't know, but I'm going to call this one, Esther asks, who do you think will win in a fight? Your mailman or your garbage man? And let's just gender neutralize this and mail carrier or sanitation worker, I guess.
Yes.
These two have been obviously beefing for a long, long time, and it's a secret war, kind of like the Underworld movies or the Twilight movies, where the vampires and lycanthropes are sort of at each other's throats. There is a secret war constantly going on, and read in literally any book or Google it or whatever. But the mail carriers of our country and the sanitation workers of our country, secret underground war fought at night. And nobody sees it, nobody knows about it except for us.
Also,
now.
just real quick, it's 4:20 right now, so we're recording. I'm trying to observe it. Okay,
Blaze one out, and the secret war between mail. And I have a really hard time putting my finger on what the solution, because I think there's more mail carriers, right? So they have the personnel advantage here, but we cannot discount the sanitation workers, big, powerful, and sometimes automated trucks.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. They are literally driving like tanks.
Yeah, they got tanks, and the mail carriers, though, they do have everything that's ever been mailed to use as weaponry in their proud fight. And God knows I've bought a bunch of swords on Amazon.com. And so they've got those working for them. But the trash ones have all the swords I've thrown away, which is a considerable amount because I can't have 200 freaking swords in my house. So.
That's true.
and
Garbage carriers will have
in the pub,
accessible swords.
Yeah.
Because they'll know they've been cataloging sort of where the swords are, but every sword that they have access to has been discarded for unneeded swords. The mail carriers are going to have to guess at which boxes hold new swords. So you're kind of like, a lot of times they're going to get like a baguette or something that someone has mailed in a sword box as a joke.
Right.
Nice.
Well, and not only that, but your mail carrier is going to have access to everything, right, that's been sent to you. But your garbage carrier or garbage sanitation worker is going to have access to everything you're ashamed of and are trying to get rid of.
You're suggesting that they could blackmail you somehow.
Well, if we're looking at this not as like a 1v1 war, but rather more like, when the sun and the wind tried to figure out who's more powerful to see if they could get the human to take their jacket off.
That's not what this is. And that makes me uncomfortable. They're not fighting for us. That is
Whichever side wins, we lose.
Weird sort of like neoconservative fantasy, but that I do not espouse. This is. And they've got their reasons. And it has nothing to do with us. They got their own reasons. They got their own inspirations for this battle. And it's just a big street fight. And they're doing it at night in the dark hour when none of us can see it, or underground. And that's all there is to it. And I'm so torn. And I'm so sad that Yahoo is so deeply fucked up, because I see little teases and hints of the great comments in here that I can't read all of. But here's a fragment. Aids in diesel fumes all day and never gets out of his truck. The vehicle does the actual work. I don't know which one that's talking about, because both have trucks that they ride around in a lot. Somebody says a switchblade or a butterfly. What could that possibly mean? But we'll never know, because Yahoo's all garbled.
Did you know
I missed that.
Both like garbage trucks and mail trucks both dispatch from the exact same place? And then they return to the same place, and there's a lot of tension in the air as they all clock. It's like that scene where like the wolf and the sheepdog are both clocking in, and they're like, another day at the office, right? Then out there on the streets, it's war.
That makes a lot of sense, because there was one time I opened up my mailbox and there was a stinky banana peel and 2 old bottles in there. And and I looked, and my mail was in the garbage can.
The sanitation workers can take the mail away from the mail carriers and throw it in their trucks, and then it's trash. And I think that's a huge power play. It's a huge power play, because the mail carrier can't take the trash away and put it in a box and put a stamp on. I mean, they can, but at great personal expense. But it's nothing like the power play of like, oh, you just delivered those. Cool. Let me and then swipe them. It's a federal crime, but like, are you going to get in the truck to find them? Find the evidence? I don't think so.
Gosh, we cannot discount the garbage truck's huge automated crushing arms.
It's huge. You get rid of a body, get rid of whatever.
Well, or get rid of a living person, because that arm grabs you. If it gets its hand on a person, I think you're already dead. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that. Once the grabbing process of that huge trash arm has got you, you're pretty much done already. There is no exit, because it basically lowers you into the big trash mouth.
It's like the people who say, like, when you fall off a mountain or something, it's not you die before you hit the ground.
Yeah, you're dead as soon as that arm gets his hand on you, because it will not. There is no forgiveness. There is no escape. Emergency eject button probably.
Yeah.
My mail carrier, I saw him with a big sack of packages carrying up to my porch on I think it was probably about 5 days before Christmas. I was like, hey, hanging in there? And he said, I'm just living for the 26th. It's like, man, cool. Happy holidays to you too, my friend.
I didn't even think about that. There's a week here or so where the mail carrier is going to have their hands full, and by which I mean literally full of holiday deliverables, and not necessarily a glaive or a halberd. And the guy, I feel like the sanitation worker doesn't necessarily have that same. Yes, obviously they're dealing with maybe more boxes or whatever, but I don't think they're going to be at a disadvantage.
The first trash day after Christmas, I ruined my sanitation workers with just a number of pink boxes that are just unfathomable to me. I wish I could have looked at my trash like 8 years ago and just be like, no, really, I promise you're gonna carry all of this out. I swear to you, seriously.
Oh shit. Okay, I've always wondered about it because sometimes when you order something from Amazon, the item is in a box already, but then Amazon puts it in another box.
I hate that.
But what if that's just the mail carriers fucking with the sanitation workers? Like, guys, put it in another box. That they have to deal with 2 boxes.
It's probably where this beef got started.
Yeah, absolutely. Stop with all the boxes. Just put a stamp on this vacuum cleaner. Don't even put it in a box. Just put a stamp on it and mail it. It's fine. They're going to take it in the box anyway.
This is probably one of the main causes, and also the assassination of the Duke of Trash.
Yes. Yeah.
Nobody wants to talk about it, but
Nobody talks about it, but it sent ripples through and really caused this huge scuffle. How about another question?
Yeah. I'm spending some of my holiday at my grandparents' house, and I'm pretty drunk.
Cool.
Cool, thank you. I went into the cold room. What? I went into the cold room to refill my drink. What's a cold room?
The cellar?
Yeah, wine.
What is a cold room?
Sorry, we can't continue the question right now. What is a cold room?
What is a cold room?
It is just a cold room.
Like in the it's like a cold room in the basement.
Okay,
like
this is
storage.
like a northerner thing. It's like a root cellar. A room in the back of the basement that was naturally chilly. We put bins of potatoes from the garden in there, and they kept all winter. It's like a big fridge. It's like the the refreshment zone at a gas station.
It's like a big fridge that sometimes ruins everything you put in there. Okay, fine. So
Mushroom.
I went into the cold room to refill my drink, and I saw a gun. It's my granddad's old air rifle, and while it looks like it hasn't been used for ages, it seems in good repair, and also it looks really cool. So I check it out, figure out how to load it and cock it, but not how to uncock it. So I ended up pulling the trigger just to uncock it. After all, it had spider webs all over it. It won't be loaded.
Bad logic.
You have made
there.
so many issues already. Crack, and there's a hole in my granny's wall. I put the gun back, taking my drink, and now I'm sat in the living room with my mom, dad, sister, and granny watching the end of Skyfall. It's been 20 minutes since I punched a hole straight through the cold room. How do I break the news? And that's from Naughty, Not Nice in Newcastle.
I'll say that's pretty naughty, bud.
Let's just go ahead and preface this by saying, let's preface whatever we're about to say. Don't play with guns. Don't
Play with guns drunk.
No story has ever begun. So I was playing with this gun and ended with, and nothing happened and everything was fine.
Even if it's an air rifle, it's still bad.
Clearly, you punched a hole in the cold room.
Yeah. Ain't gonna stay cold for long. There's a lot of bad potatoes.
So when you said northern,
You have
meant
just
like
made the
northern
cold room larger by sharing the cold with whatever bigger room is containing
Maybe
a smaller cold room.
Possibly. I guess maybe it is a. Yeah, I guess it's a
northern UK.
Okay, the
maybe?
thing where
Okay.
I found it being a northern thing is on a website. The subtitle for which is everything about Old English sheepdogs. So, who's to say the veracity?
Want to keep the sheepdogs in the cold room.
have broken every rule of gun usage. Number one is, of course, don't. But number two, right after that, is like, it's always loaded. You treat it like it's always loaded. It's a dangerous thing. What's wrong with you?
Especially when you are. Treat it like it's loaded when you are.
Jesus. Yeah, we're having a lot of fun here, but there's also a part of this question that scares the living shit out of me.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to get past that and get into the fun zone
Now
necessarily.
He did say air rifle, right? I don't understand. Should that be able to
Yes.
put a hole through? I guess it would, huh?
It obviously has. It did.
Well,
It
I mean,
did,
especially
huh?
since
'Cause it did.
let's not pretend like we have any idea what a cold room is made out of. It
That's
might
true,
be rice
thank you.
paper. I don't
That's
know.
true.
All
Doesn't
right.
seem efficient, but you're right.
You have to say, you've got to say something.
James Bond did it.
You blame it on James Bond. I mean, you blame it on whoever you want to blame it on. We're talking about a lot of spoiled potatoes, if I'm going off of this Old English sheepdog
There it is.
website. You're talking about a lot
The
of
new Yahoo.
Yeah. I'll get off Yahoo and go to oes.org, the Old English Sheepdog information hub. It's a lot of bad potatoes, and you can't do that to your Grams. So you gotta speak up. Now, who do you blame it on? Travis suggests James Bond. I do not dislike this. You could say it's a new TV technology. It's the 4D, like Captain EO, but instead of spraying water in your face, when James Bond shoots a gun, bullets do come out of the TV. And thankfully, you should be fortunate it only destroyed your cold room.
You could blame it on your granddad.
Blame it on your granddad.
Blame it on an old English sheepdog.
Wait, is granddad still in the picture?
Granddad is not in the room watching Skyfall. Maybe he's upstairs doing something else.
Or in another area of the cold room.
We also don't know how big a cold room is.
One of those Christmas Carol. Are there any of the Christmas Carol ghosts that would have done this? Because I know that they're in the UK, right?
Present would fuck around with an air rifle like, oh, ho, ho, I'm fucked up. Look at the stunts I can do with this gun. Rat-tat-tat, grat-tat-ta. I feel so good because I'm holding a gun. Like, yo, dude, you need to calm down a little bit.
Don't tell me what to do. I'm in charge now.
Oh, God.
My brothers and sisters have no scoped here for ages, and now I am here to play with. Everyone has told me how great it is to play with guns.
This is ignorance, and this is want, and their KD ratio is a joke.
Now I have an air rifle. Ho, ho, ho.
Now, which movie are we doing now?
That was Die Hard.
That one was Die Hard, and it was a little on the nose.
Can you find some way to create a locked room mystery? Because if you can't blame it on somebody, blame it on the unsolvable mystery. Although you gotta be careful because Sherlock will roll up. Sherlock will roll up in this one.
You got Sherlock and Poirot up in your neck of the woods. You got to be careful.
You got to pit them against each other, and that's the only way you win.
Locked room mystery is gonna be tricky though. You're gonna have to get a wire in through the small hole you've created in the wall and use it to lock the door. That's a pretty easy locked room mystery.
And you're going to need a block of ice to melt, but that's going to be hard to do in the cold room.
Yeah, it's true. It's going to take a while. Stick a bit of gum in there. Stick a bit of chewy.
A little ducky tape.
A little ducky tape or a little bit of chewy, and you're fine. You're probably not fine. Listen.
Don't play with guns.
We've had a lot of fun here. I think it's actually a very important thing for the three of us to do. Question asker, Naughty Not Nice in Newcastle. We had a lot of fun with your question. I need you to go get a chair. Go ahead and put it in the corner, facing the corner, and you just sit right there in the chair for 15 minutes. Pause the podcast. You're in timeout. We are literally putting you, I'm assuming an adult, right in timeout. 15 minutes, sit right there. What you did was quite bad, and we had a lot of fun with the question, but we shouldn't have because what you did was a bad thing. Go timeout.
Take a picture from the corner and email it to us on the same thread so we know it's you. We're going to be doing some punishments here in 2018, so that's going to be one of our new things is like, if you, all right, if you write in a question to us, you need to accept that you might get a legally binding punishment. And we're going to be punishing some people this year for getting out of line and kind of upsetting the apple cart a little bit. And it sounds like you've earned our first punishment of 2018, Naughty Not Nice in Newcastle. So go to the corner and think about what you did.
Set a timer on your phone. And don't get on. Oh, I swear to God, if you get on your phone and you play your Flappy Bird or a game or you get on Twitter, no. Put your phone away after you set the timer on it, set it down, and you just think about it.
I would also say that you could, if you owned the entire thing and then fixed the hole in the cold room, I think that would be acceptable too. I would
not only that, but and not to glorify this at all, but that is also a good way to then actually earn a few points because, like, not only were you honest, but you took care of the problem, and you fixed it and you admitted it. That is a good, responsible thing to do. That almost makes up for your irresponsible playing with gun actions.
I need photo evidence of either one. Whatever option you want to take, I don't really care. I don't live in your grandma's cold room. So it's your call. Yeah. Well, think that, 2018, who knows?
The big test was
should we wrap up?
Yeah.
Yes, I believe we should.
I've had too much fun already. I can't handle any more fun.
Go back there.
But people at home, if you're looking for more fun, I just guested on a couple podcasts that are going to be coming out soon. I'm on an upcoming episode of Can I Pet Your Dog? Upcoming episode where I return for an episode of Bunker Buddies. I just guested on a video that's going to be coming out on Gary Jones' YouTube channel. But I also just did an episode of Good Christian Fun.
That is such a great podcast.
Yes.
I'm very into Good Christian Fun right now.
I can't recommend it enough. If you've ever heard Gilmore Guys, Kevin Porter from Gilmore Guys, and his friend Caroline are hosting Good Christian Fun. It's a review show of Christian pop culture that neither glorifies Christianity nor makes fun of it. Both
it just
Kevin
talks about like why they made the things that they made. Justin, there's a Bible Man episode with your name on it, bud.
Ooh, nice.
Let's see. Also coming up very soon.
What did you do on your episode?
We did an episode of McGee and Me called Twister and Shout.
Yes.
Yes. It was very fun. And that way, Griffin, I just did one episode to leave the door open for you to come on and discuss other McGee and Me episodes.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But yeah, also coming up in 11 days from today, Teresa and I are going to be at San Francisco Sketch Fest. I'm performing in a couple shows, one Friday night, one Saturday night, but then we're doing a Schmanners on Sunday the 14th in the afternoon, and you can find out all the details about that at sfsketchfest.com.
And you got the cruise too, right?
Yeah, and we're doing the Joko Cruise, which is coming up middle of February 18th through the 25th. We're going to be doing Schmanners there as well, just like a bunch of other random things, and like Dad's going to be there. And yeah, it's going to be a good time. If you want to come check that out, I think it's going to be an absolute blast. Not only have I never been on Joko Cruise before, I've never been on a cruise before, so I'm super excited about it. And you can find out about that, jococruise.com, jococruise.com.
I want to say thanks to everybody who pitched in during the holiday season for both Mobin Band Angels, who just crushed the empty stockings list this year. That's a thing that when I see people in Huntington, that's like the thing they talk about, and that is so like wonderful. And I hope that you all appreciate like what a change you make in our lovely hometown and Justin's current place of residence, and everybody who came out to the Candle Night show, and everybody who chipped in on the Candle Night Star project that Riley spearheaded, who helped raise up, I think it was like $45,000 total for Big Brothers Big Sisters of South Central West Virginia. They were asking for $60,000 to help open one of their closed branches up again, and like the fact that the listeners of this podcast almost single-handedly like got there is
they weren't asking us for it. It's
no. That was like their big ask when they lost their funding. The fact that you all came out for that to such a huge degree is so wonderful, and we love you all so much for it. Also want to say thanks to John Roderick and the Long Winters for the use of our theme song. It's a departure off the album Putting the Days to Bed. It's a very good album, and thank you to Maximum Fun for having us on the network. Go to MaximumFun.org and check out all the great free podcasts there, because you're going to find a bunch of shows that you're just going to love the heck out of.
All right, well, folks, that's going to do it for us. Think you so much for listening. And
collaborate team. Just think about it. Just think about it. You don't got to act on it right now. Just think about it.
And Griff, you got one more Yahoo for us?
Yeah, I have one more off this fucking blighted website. It's from Andrew Gerald. Thank you, Andrew, for sending this one in. It's by Yahoo Answers user. I can't see it because the website's all fucked up, but I'm going to say Dennis asks, what if for the last episode of Frasier, Kelsey Grammer was butt naked the whole time?
My name's Justin McElroy.
My name's Travis McElroy.
I'm Griffin McElroy.
This has been My Brother May Kiss Your Dad Square on the Lips.
Anyway, back. I'm gonna follow I've got another podcast queued up, so it should play.
Artist-owned.
Listener supported.
Hello, Internet. I'm your husband host, Travis McElroy.
And I'm your wife host, Teresa McElroy.
And together we present Schmanners.
Just damn it, I need to send you a basic.
For ordinary occasions.
We explain the historical significance of everyday etiquette topics, then answer your questions relating to modern life.
So join us weekly on MaximumFun.org or wherever podcasts are found.
No RSVP required.
Check out Schmanners.
Schmanners. Get it?
Welcome to the Judge John Hodgman podcast. I'm bailiff Jesse Thorne. This week, cock en ban. Gideon brings the case against his wife Cynthia. He and their son have been raising chickens in the backyard. Cynthia's upset that the chickens have destroyed her garden. She says they need to be better contained. Gideon wants them to remain free range. Who's Who's right? Who's wrong? Only one man can decide. Please rise as Judge John Hodgman enters the courtroom and presents an obscure cultural
Gotta help the
fact.
thread game.
At the time,
Or
my experience with farm animal killing had been limited to chickens. Together with 2 other families, I've killed hundreds of them. Killing any animal is not something to be taken lightly, but I've found that I have no real conflict with chicken killing. After 12 weeks of voracious consumption, meat birds are ready to go, their purpose served. At least that's the story I prefer to tell myself. With pigs, that story starts to fall apart. End quote. Bailiff Jesse Thorne, please swear the line.
Please rise and raise your right hands. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the
Take a
truth?
break.
So help you God or whatever.
Yes, I do.
I do.
Do you swear to abide by Judge John Hodgman's ruling, despite the fact that ain't nobody can fence him in?
Yes.
Yes.
Very well, Judge Hodgman.
Give me land, lots of land, and the starry skies above. Don't fence me in. I know that song. Thanks,
On the
Jesse.
vibrate one.
Now it's stuck in my head.
Holiday gift to you, friend.
Gideon and Cynthia, you may be seated for an immediate summary judgment in one of yours favors. Can either of you guess the piece of culture that I referenced as I entered the courtroom? Cynthia, let's start with you.
I cannot.
No, you have to make a guess. That's part of the fun.
Great. All right.
Wait.
For me. Probably exclusively for me.
Chicken Run.
Chicken Run. Oh, I wish I had thought of that one. That is a great movie by the Ardmore Studio. Unfortunately featuring the voice of Mel Gibson. But he's a very genial voice actor. We didn't know what we knew then. Chicken Run.
Rocky.
That's right, yeah. But you can't guess that one also, Gideon.
Oh, no, sir.
You have to guess another piece of chicken culture.
There's so many options.
Well, you know what? That's not what it seemed like to me this afternoon, so I'm looking forward to your guess.
It has definitely a Charlotte's Web feel to it, but
Take it.
I think maybe James Harriet, All Creatures Great and Small. I'll go with that.
Whoa. First of all, obviously all guesses are wrong. The reason why that guess is wrong, of course, is that All Creatures Great and Small by James Harriet is the memoir of a British country veterinarian, not chicken killer. And the reason that Cynthia's guess was wrong is it was wrong. But in this case, you were very, very close, I have to say, Gideon, when you guessed sounded like Charlotte's Web. It's not by E.B. White, but it is from Maine. It is from Yard Pig, which is the blog of a neighbor of mine in Maine that he was keeping over the summer about the problem he had by accidentally buying 14 pigs. Michael Sheehan is a year-round neighbor of ours up on the peninsula where we have a home in Maine. He and his wife are amazing people. They have 2 amazing daughters. They are both bakers. He is also a home builder. They are incredibly self-reliant people. Obviously, they're noted chicken killers. And yet, some time ago, he, at the beginning of last summer, he got tricked into buying 14 guinea hogs, thinking that they would resurface his yard, not realizing that he was going to come to love these animals very deeply, and had already gone through one traumatic experience of having some Tamworth pigs and having to send them to slaughter and going through a deep depression. So now the blog begins with him explaining, I have these 14 very, very intelligent and eccentric and idiosyncratic and lovable pigs, including Mona, the one that he loves the most. And a full quarter of them are already marked to be slaughtered because someone else bought them for him to raise. And he has to decide what he's going to do with them because 14 guinea hogs, American guinea hogs, are very, very destructive to property after a while. They get big and they eat a lot and they're expensive. And it's a really interesting read, and I encourage you to read it. The very best part is the very first entry, which is from July of this past year, talking about Mona, the pig he loves the best. And there are only 3 comments on the blog. One is from his wife saying, I think you're thinking about pigs too much again. The next one is from his daughter saying, I agree with Mom. And the third one is from his daughter, Chloe, saying, these pigs aren't going to last. Don't make it like last time. Meaning don't get yourself into an emotional tiz about these pigs. And by the way, the decision ultimately of what to do with these pigs was made, and it's an amazing piece of writing, and it just came out a couple of days ago as of this recording. So go check it out, yardpig.com. And now we go on to this fake court case, which is not about pigs, but about chickens. Cynthia and Gideon, you live outside of Austin, Texas. Do I understand that correctly?
Yes.
All right. So tell me a little bit about your life and your chickens and your age and what you do all day, and paint a word picture for me about what's going on down there.
Who's first?
Cynthia, why don't you give us a shot?
Okay. I am 45 years old. I'm a wife, mother. I'm a speech language pathologist, and I'm an aspiring guitarist and singer. And I love our home, and I love our dog, and I think I sent you pictures of our house. It's my sanctuary. My backyard is pretty much my favorite place in the world. And maybe I'm a crazy plant lady or hoarder, but the garden in our house is a huge part of my life. And we've been in our house for 8 years, and we've slowly transformed the backyard, replacing a lot of the grass with crushed granite and walkways and native plants and succulents. And I collect pottery from Mexico and terracotta pots, and I love to take cuttings from succulents. And anyway, that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Now hold on. When you say you take cuttings from succulents, not just in the atria of local shopping malls, right?
No, from family and friends.
Good, because there's established law around mall atria foliage.
Well, Cynthia, that was a wonderful piece of testimony, the likes of which I've never heard, and I appreciate and adore your utopia that you created in your backyard outside of Austin. And the problem is, I guess, Gideon, is you want to destroy it with chickens? What's happening?
Yes, I'm the monster, and I tried to be a supportive father, actually. We had chickens before in San Antonio when our kids were younger, and I think we didn't have as much time for, when you have young kids, you don't have as much time for creating a utopia in your backyard. But we had chickens then, and we had 4 Rhode Island wrens, and my son at the time, who was probably 4 or 5, really enjoyed them. So when we moved up to Austin, and we've been here for a while, we finally got to the point where my son had been kind of asking me for chickens, and I had told him, if you write a business plan and can prove to me that, you'll do some due diligence here and be responsible for them, we can consider getting some more. So we did, and I had forgotten how destructive 4 2-pound birds can be to a backyard. But so one of the conditions is for me was, in order to get these chickens, that I really didn't want them to be kept in a small enclosure. I wanted them. Part of what I really love about having chickens, especially in this utopia of a backyard, I include the chickens in that landscape. To me, they bring a lot of joy and calm and peacefulness in watching them do their chicken business. Not that business. Doing chicken stuff, I should say. Sorry, in the backyard.
You have strange proclivities.
Oh, it's all coming out. And so
Cynthia's definition of utopia is growing succulents and cultivating peace, and your definition of utopia is watching a chicken poop.
Yeah, no, I misspoke. But just do their, typical chicken type of behavior: scratching, pecking, running around, getting scared over absolutely nothing. And I also enjoy watching my kids be out there with them. And this day and age, I feel like they become more closed off to the world every day, and watching them, until you've watched your 13-year-old, 14-year-old son run around and try to catch a chicken, you really haven't lived, as far as I can tell. So.
All right, how many chickens? I have a lot of questions, and one of the things I want to get to is the business plan that you made your son write to get these chickens into his life, because I don't know what kind of business you have with chickens. But let's just talk about how many you have. You mentioned you have 4?
We used to have 4. There's been a recent raccoon encounter that reduced our flock by 1 quarter.
Yeah, why mince words? Raccoons wouldn't. Raccoon killed the heck out of your chicken.
Yes, sir. It turns out that they only want to get partially digested food out of the crop of the chicken, which is located sort of below the neck and above the chest. And so they just rip that part off of the bird and leave the rest of the bird intact.
Just when I thought raccoons couldn't get more despicable.
Oh, they're the worst.
They have human-like hands and can open the latch of the coop that we purchased.
Yeah, I mean, despicable or not, you gotta admit those little thumbs are cute.
Yeah, they're great for pulling out undigested food out of a dead chicken crop and shoving it into your raccoon maw. Gross.
I used to be somewhat, along the lines that just, partially that, these Mapaches are cute, but I was recently camping by myself for a weekend and had about 7 of them descend on my campground at night and surround me at my camping area and chase me into my tent. So ever since then, I've been a little wary of these things.
They wanted to get their little raccoon hands into your sweet crop and eat some of your undigested food.
Say what you will about raccoons. It's pretty cute when they team up on you, A-Team style.
I love it when a plan comes together. Well, I have been reviewing the evidence, the photos of both your yard and your chickens, and I could look at this all day long because it's a beautiful yard. And these are some beautiful chickens. But they are obviously working against each other since the chickens are destructive to your plants. Is that correct, Cynthia?
Yes, but I enjoy the chickens. I like having the chickens, and the problem isn't the chickens themselves, and we're raising them for eggs, not meat. Neither of us or our family, we don't eat any meat. But the problem is that they're not properly secured. I think my husband and my son, which they're kind of one and the same. We have a saying, a Mexican-American saying, that goes, de tal palo tal astilla, and a palo is like a branch and astilla is a splinter. It's kind of like from the branch comes the splinter. And so the two of them are like a chip off the old block, I guess would be the equivalent.
You're calling your son a splinter.
But they don't, I think my husband finds it distasteful to clip them properly. I have a close friend who's raised chickens in the country and says that you have to repeatedly clip them because they grow back and they will jump over. So
You're talking about clipping their wings? So
their wings are supposed to be restricted to the side yard, and I have no problem with them being free range, but no more than an hour a day unless the kids are out there with them. And also when we go to work or when I come home from work, 1 or 2 have jumped over the side yard that has a little gate and a fence. I think I sent some pictures, and the solution has been kind of jerry-rigging, like putting sawhorses on top of it, or my husband bought these strings of bamboo beads that he's dangling from the arbor, and
yeah, I
none
see
of
these
it
bamboo
has
beads.
worked.
So let me make sure I understand this. And all these photos are on the show page at MaximumFun.org, and also on our Instagram account. Our Instagram handle is Judge John Hodgman, all one word. And you guys will want to check this out because these are some great photos of a beautiful yard and some weird makeshift bamboo barriers and some really lovely chickens. There are 3 of them. What are the names of these chickens?
Bailey, Mocha, and Lacey. And Latte or Fluffy Feet was the one that we lost recently.
This chicken had 2 names, Latte and Fluffy Feet. That's the one that got decropped?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And so if I understand this correctly, let me just clarify a couple of points for my own deliberation. They are supposed to be living in the side yard, which is separate from your backyard, Cynthia, correct?
Yes.
But their wings aren't clipped frequently enough to prevent them from flapping up and over and getting into all kinds of mischief in your backyard. Is that right?
Yes. And we've built a raised bed for them out there with about $100 worth of plants destroyed in about 2 weeks. So if the kids were out there, they could just kind of steer them off the patio. And I know they do benefit the garden. They're absolutely beautiful, and they eat bugs and they aerate everything, but they're just out there for too long.
So those of you who are listening who may not have raised chickens in an urban or semi-urban environment or a rural environment, chickens scratch. They scratch up the dirt to get up bugs and worms and other bits of food for them, and that's how they aerate the soil, and that's good for the soil. same reason why you might want to have 14 American guinea hogs on a large field that you're trying to turn over the soil on, because they'll root up all that soil, they'll turn it over. Obviously on a much larger scale. And by the way, if you guys are interested in about 5 to 6 American guinea hogs from Maine, we can send them down to you.
Cynthia?
Let's take a quick break and hear about one of our sister shows here at MaximumFun.org. When we come back, we'll hear more about these Texas chickens.
Hi, everybody. I'm Justin McElroy.
And I'm Dr. Sydney McElroy.
Every week, we release a medical history podcast called Sawbones.
We go over the history of the dumbest, grossest, weirdest stuff humans have been doing to each other since the dawn of mankind.
But it's a funny show.
But it's also so disgusting and stomach-turning, you won't believe it.
But it's also like, funny.
It is the wildest, grossest, nastiest stuff you can imagine.
It's a real hoot. It's called Sawbones, and we release it every week on iTunes, wherever podcasts are sold, and right here on MaximumFun.org.
Court's back in session. You're listening to Coq en Bain. Let's get back into the courtroom and hear more about Gideon, Cynthia, and their crazy chickens.
Crazy chickens.
Well, look, these photos of these chickens these are magnificent birds. They are and were all hens, I presume?
Yes, sir. We obviously you don't know for sure, so it's a waiting game. But I think by now we were pretty sure that there's none of them's gonna become a rooster.
They started to produce eggs.
That's usually a tip-off as to their gender.
Well, yes. The darkest one is Bailey, and she's a Jersey Giant.
Jersey Giant.
Mocha is the kind of brown one that is a Welsummer, and Lacey is a Lace Wyandotte. And so that's why her name is Lacey and not named after other types of beverages.
And poor Fluffy Feet Latte was what
Fluffy
kind?
Feet Bantam, and that's why Bantams grow feathers all down on their ankles to cover their feet.
These are handsome birds, and I'll tell you, we've spent some time in non-urban areas, and our neighbors have had chickens. We've raised some chicks before. They are beautifully dumb and hilarious animals to have around, and they are gorgeous to look at, and they are funny to watch when they get confused, which is a lot of the time. They're also, you can pick them up and you can pat them. They're nice lap animals. And if you enjoy watching something poop, they do that too. That's one's for you, Gideon. But they are destructive. And there are some heartbreaking before and after pictures here of planters that once were thriving and now are just a blasted Mad Max wasteland.
He also came home one day with the chickens. I had no idea. I mean, I knew they talked about it, but they sometimes like to talk about their big plans, and sometimes they're outlandish, so I didn't know that was really going to happen.
Were you given an opportunity to review the business plans?
Well, I knew that he was working on them, but Gideon is a lot like Pa or Charles Ingalls from the Laura Ingalls Wilder books, except that we live in the suburbs in modern times. But he can do almost anything, and he likes to build, and he can repair and fix and plan up. And he has, and like Pa, like in those books, I wondered when I was a little girl why they got up and moved so much. And I think that Gideon's a lot like Pa, and maybe a little bit like Chip Gaines and the Fixer Upper when you watch those episodes, and he's always showing up at the house with some new random pet, except ours was on a smaller scale.
You know why Pa's always moving around in those books, Cynthia? He's wanted by the federal government for murder. Uh-oh. You never caught that subtext? I don't think that's true. It was suspicious.
You were too busy listening to those nice songs he plays on the fiddle.
Judge John Hodgman, I will say that it was a surprise to both of us that this business plan ever was completed.
What is the business plan for having 3 backyard chickens? What's the biz? How many eggs can you possibly be selling?
I don't know what it is, and I don't know quite why it's called Eggs for the Homeless. Like, I don't think there's we have done volunteer work for the homeless, but these were just for us to have our own eggs instead of having to purchase them, just to supplement what we eat at home.
You're just
or-
scared that your relationship with
Hey,
the
the boots.
grocery store's getting disrupted.
Maybe they're in here?
Gideon, did you submit your son's business plan for these chickens
Hit the damn button.
into evidence?
Yes, sir.
And just to clarify, he was 13 when he wrote the plan.
And how old is he now?
14.
All right.
Well, Doogie Howser was a teenager when he went to medical
Good
school.
point. Business plan by Gustavo, last name redacted, very good. I am Gustavo, and I go by Goose. That's his nickname?
Yes, sir.
I love it.
Oh, man, that's a really cool
That
nickname.
is totally cool. I'm
He
on.
wanted to call it Goose Eggs for a while.
Oh,
Ah,
yeah.
And I made him watch the first scene of Mad Max with Goose in it.
Now you're joking on me.
Never, sir.
The original Mad Max?
Yes, sir. The opening scene where he's chasing the Knight Rider.
I haven't seen it for a long time, but Goose is his post-apocalyptic policeman partner, right?
Yes, nothing. When he crashes in at the end, he says, "They say, 'How are you?' and he says, 'Nothing a day in the tropics can't fix.'"
I want to start a business where I sell chicken eggs. This will also be posted on the show page. I want to start this business because I want pet chickens and I want to earn money. These chickens will be free range. It's right there in the business plan, Cynthia. They'll be raised on non-GMO feed with no pesticides, and they will produce organic eggs. Well, you can't say that because you would need to get a federal government or state approval for that. So you're not allowed to use that term organic.
yeah, organic style at best.
Yeah, these eggs are guilt-free. I love animals. I will be very grateful if you donate. Wowee. I want to market to stores that would want to sell my product, specifically H-E-B, a local grocery store in Texas, and Whole Foods, because they love to sell local products. My second sales point would be friends and family, because I know they love local, fresh, and guilt-free eggs. This is killing it. Egg prices have gone up recently. Oh my God, identifying trends. So I think I can charge a competitive rate for my eggs. Below are the prices for large eggs from producers who keep their chickens confined and kill them if they do not lay eggs. And they got a annual egg prices bar graph. All right, financial plan, incentives for donating. Okay, so you donate.
Hey, I needed that.
This is to raise money to purchase the chickens. Was this the idea?
And the coop and the feed that is a monthly expense. I told him I would front half of the money for the business, and I would front the rest of it until he paid me back with the
35% interest.
Yeah, right. The money that he got from donations that would go to me first until he paid off, and then the rest would be his.
As he paid off his debt to the Lord Humongous.
I think we sold a dozen, just one, and it was to one of my good friends at work, a teacher friend.
I see.
But I also, the eggs that the family uses, which keeps me from having to buy them at the store, then that gets deducted from the cost that he owes me, because that's money I would spend on eggs for the family.
Oh, okay.
So when you sent your son Gustavo out to ask for donations using this business plan, did you disclose to the donors that all of the money being donated was going directly to lining your pockets?
Well, he hasn't actually asked anybody for donations yet. That business plan has not been mailed out to anybody. He tried to do a Kickstarter, but the clientele, the people that he was asking for money, I don't think know how to use Kickstarter, or I didn't mean to buzz market the other. Right. So he didn't, that went nowhere. He was supposed to mail out physically copies of this business plan, but I refused to get out the address book for him, and so it's dead in the water.
He's going to have to get his own leads. He can't have the Glengarry leads.
Always be selling.
Always be closing. Here's the moron.
Between Utopian Garden, between sons with awesome nicknames, after your daughter is amazing as well.
This podcast.
This incredible business plan.
The dad of his
beautiful
family's
chickens,
kind of
and
douchebag.
some of these sweet movie references that Gideon is dropping. I'm going to say this is the #1 family on the Judge John Hodgman podcast.
Oh, I was just going to
you.
say it's obvious that you're trying to run some kind of scam on us.
Well, that could be too, maybe.
You trust human beings more than I do.
I'm just going to say, Jesse, #1 family on the Judge John Hodgman podcast, and I'm writing a check right now for some eggs. $1,000. So you guys are obviously killing it, but here's the thing. How can there be a dispute here? Obviously the chickens, for all the good work that Goose did in putting this business plan together, and all the medium good work that you, Gideon, put into creating a kind of bead curtain barrier, the chickens are getting into a place where they shouldn't be, and they're causing destruction that is causing distress to your wife. Gideon, how can you argue that these chickens should be given free rein in the backyard?
I think that, I haven't had a chance to make my case really, but I think there's a compromise here in that we plant certain types of plants in the backyard that the chickens are less likely to get into, or maybe I build some makeshift additional barricades. No, I'm just kidding. But, I think there's a way for the chickens to have free range in the backyard, and maybe we plant, they tend to be after my wife's portulacas, which are very important to them, and they will go through great lengths and great fences to get to. I've tried clipping their wings, even though I don't like doing it, and I've done it to, I think, pretty good standards and often
not good enough.
No.
I don't think that any more clipping is gonna. I don't think that the way they're getting into the yard is by their wings.
Wait. How are they getting into the yard? Tunneling?
Well,
how are they getting over that fence?
You've seen chicken runs, sir, right? No. So I think they're squeezing through or just hopping up. I mean, these chickens, I'm not sure if you've seen, these Jersey Giants are a good 18 inches tall.
Why, they're good hopping birds. Some chickens are for eggs, some are for meat, and some are for pure hopping.
And so maybe just squeezing through, I'm not quite sure. I would like to get some video footage of how this is
We'll have Goose commission a study. But why is it important to you? I mean, I've seen the photos of the side yard. It's pretty spacious.
I don't even have the big key.
Why is it important to you that they have free run of the big backyard, which is such a special place to your wife? Why not accede to her wishes and just have them have supervised time?
I don't need it because
I would love supervised time back there, but it's proven to be difficult to force that time outside. Texas also is, for a good 9 months of the year, too hot for me and also too filled with mosquitoes, and so it's for my kids and I to be out there for a good bulk of the year is difficult.
Is the side yard too constraining for your chickens?
I believe so. I love to see them in the grass. They love it. They love to dig around the plants. They can build up a lot of waste, just these 3 chickens, very quickly, and so the less room they have to wander freely, the more all of that mess.
Put a roof on it. Like, how hard did that do?
And so I would like to spread that out as much as possible. But I do understand. I mean, I don't like them doing that on the patio, and I don't like to see them knock over pots and plants either. So I'm just thinking, with some family teamwork, we could rearrange what types of plants we plant and where to give them more access, but also protect some of these plants that we do not want them to ruin.
They have also jumped the front fence, and a neighbor rang the doorbell to bring one of them home, and then the next door neighbor fence that have 2 dogs that maybe might not be as friendly as our own to chickens. So by not consistently clipping the wings, I think he's putting the chicken's life in danger.
Well, that would solve your chicken problem, though, wouldn't it? The dogs took care of those chickens.
And I don't want to see that happen.
You want to see those chickens dead.
No.
Right.
No, I love the chickens, and I love that my son and daughter are very excited. They treat them like pets. They pick them up and hug them, and they want to make them chicken sweaters and decorate with a Christmas tree and lights out in their area, and it's very cute to watch. And I love how compassionate they are with animals. As far as planting different kinds of plants, they definitely prefer some over the others. Like, they love purslane and portulaca and succulents, but they'll eat anything. Just ask your neighbor with the pigs. It's not like there's any kind of plant that is fully chicken proof.
First of all, what are portulacas?
They're they call them in South Texas chismes, which is like a gossip because they open and close that like as the sun goes up and the sun goes down, like a gossiping mouth. And they're just a beautiful succulent that blooms in orange, coral, yellow, red, really bright colors, and they're incredible even in triple-digit temperatures. They require very little water, and
they open and close like an oxalis plant, according to the time of day.
Yes.
And that's why they're called gossip mouths. Holy moly!
Chismes.
Botany is amazing.
Chismosas, right? And they're beautiful, and you can. I have many of them because I just buy a few or collect a few, and then they can. I just grow them from cuttings. That's one of my hobbies.
Cynthia, it's fair to say that despite all of these challenges, if these chickens were to wear custom-made chicken sweaters, they would deserve to live in the house and eat caviar or whatever they wanted, right?
Well, I have to give Gideon credit because the raccoon was the whole losing fuzzy feet, and we were on a trip, and our house sitter would send us pictures day by day of pieces of the chicken coop coming apart because the raccoon was trying to take off piece by piece of these predator-proof coops that, like the one that we bought. But he built a small, it looks like a little shelf. He just completed it about 2 days ago. And so now at night, they sleep in the garage in this sort of long shelf encased closure. And the garage, we have a dog door, but we close it off so that they're safe from the raccoons. And also, I just wanted to mention that. Yes, they've stopped. The chickens have stopped laying, either because it's cold, and I'll say that it's cold for Texas standards, isn't that cold, and or they were just terrified of the raccoon. So the whole purpose of this, or one of the main purposes, was for the eggs, and they stopped laying eggs anyway. But they also are.
There goes your omelet dividend, Gideon.
Good map, I guess.
So what's the thing in your garage now? Where is that connected to the side yard?
We have dog doors, but we have like a double layer of dog doors. So the dog doesn't just go out straight into the yard. She has to go through the dog door into the garage, and then through another dog door into the side yard. And then there's a fence that separates the side yard from the backyard. So that door we close off because one
And then there's a ball pit, and then there's the slime dumper.
Yeah, then there's the corkscrew slide.
Anyway, long story. I built basically a roosting.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Long story long. I built a roosting box for them, and it's basically just a mini coop. They don't do anything once they go to roost. When the sun goes down, they don't lay eggs. They don't eat or drink anything like that. And so I just built a small enclosure, just like you would a bed. And so the chickens come in at night. We visit them and put them up to roost inside.
Well, here's my question: you have to move them into this chicken safe house, this raccoon.
They will
box.
learn. I'm sure they'll learn. They are more routine than anybody, and they'll let you know once it starts getting a limited amount of light in the day. They go to roost. So when they start learning where they want to go to roost, just like in the wild, pheasants will go into a tree and they'll go into their coop on themselves. But yeah, we would have to close the door behind them after they learned.
Okay, got it. Isn't there a way to predator-proof the side yard? I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, a bead curtain isn't going to do it. Like, could you do something more? Could you use some chicken wire to put over that side yard and really, make it safe?
No, I believe that they reckon that chicken wire is not really raccoon or predator proof. You have to use much higher strength and smaller mesh.
Like a raccoon wire, for example.
It would take. It's a big enough area that it wouldn't be feasible to close it off unless you were. It would be like building an addition to your house.
Yeah, I got you. All right. Well, maybe that's what you need to do. Build a chicken bar.
South on me.
So if I'm going to rule in your favor, just to clarify, Cynthia, you want the chickens to be in the main backyard only under human supervision.
or they can be free range, but an hour at the most, and not with us having to prompt them for them to be responsible to time the hour. Because I don't think
the chickens.
I think our children.
Oh, okay.
To time and to put them back without prompting before they've eaten everything down to the roots, and just leaving a few little stalks and a whole pot upended, and just for Gideon to kind of get over it and consistently clip their wings more than he thinks he should, to keep them not only from just free ranging, but from jumping into the front yard in the street or into the neighbor's yard.
Okay, and you obviously, Gideon, you want status quo. Chickens can jump and leap and frolic, squeeze through, and hang out in that backyard. And you're going to offer some distraction plants that you hope will keep them from going for the main gossip mouths, and then otherwise just let them roam free. Correct?
Yes, so we also have a very large front yard where the chickens don't have access to at all, and so
I live in Brooklyn, New York.
I suppose.
I'm tired of hearing about all your side yards and your garages and your front yards and your backyards.
And your access to barbecue restaurants.
Right. What is your front yard solution now?
Well, that we can plant as many plants as we want, and I'm happy to help with that, and make that area also a chicken-free utopia for Cynthia, and then the backyard can be more just sort of native.
Gideon, we already know that the chickens can get into that front yard. They've already done it. The chickens have already busted through your security system over there.
And also, I like to spend a lot of time with the plants, and in the front yard there's no privacy. In the backyard we have a fence, and we have a seating area, and we have a raised bed where we grow vegetables in the summer, and we have a little conversation area and a chimenea, and it's not the same to just move. And
Gideon, there's a chimenea back there.
A chimenea, Gideon, a chimenea!
Really, I would just be happy being absolved. My number one thing would be absolved from any discussion or forcing me into clipping any more wings. They grow once a year. I've done the wing clipping, I believe, satisfactorily. So
the proof is in the flapping, sir.
A ruling from the judge, I believe, would go a long way in ensuring my son followed through on his chores to be with them more in the backyard and escorting them around. So.
But independently, without us, if we have to prompt them or tell them to go out there,
14 years old.
It's more work for us.
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah, having chickens is more work for everybody. So that I understand, Gideon, and because I don't know. And I'm tired of pretending that I do know. Before I go into my chambers, what is the process of clipping the wings mean? What do you do, and why do you not like to do it? And why doesn't Goose do it?
It's a multiple person job. When some of those people are kids, it's a 3-person job. But what happens is the chickens have primary feathers. Primary feathers are main flying feathers on birds. They're the ones that actually look like wing feathers that are the longest. So when you pull those wings out, they stick out to the side the longest. And so just like you would get a haircut, you don't feel that. You don't feel the hairs being cut, but you can feel.
Totally professional bond over here.
And so when you you just cut the last maybe inch or 2 off of those primary feathers. It's enough for them not to get into flight, but it doesn't prevent them from jumping or just using their base muscles. And I would never cut their muscles because that would obviously be very painful.
No, obviously
dangerous.
No.
But so it will keep them from flying, but it doesn't necessarily keep them from getting over the fence that prevents them from getting into the backyard.
And my quote was from Nacho Libre. I just had to say some movie quotes and see.
Oh, this is the greatest #1 family. I'll buy some eggs. All right, I've got everything I need in order to make my decision. I'm going to crawl through this dog door into a protected garage where I will sit for a moment in darkness, free from raccoon predation, come up with my decision. I'll be back in a moment.
Do I have the key?
Please rise as Judge John Hodgman exits the courtroom. Cynthia, how do you feel about your chances in the case?
I don't know. I think they're pretty good. I don't think I'm asking for too much. I hope.
How do you feel about your chimenea?
I like it. I've only used it a few times, but now that it's winter-ish in Texas, we might use it more.
Gideon, how do you feel about your chances in the case?
Not very good. I mean, despite being absolutely beautiful, my wife is also very intelligent and amazingly level-headed and practical. So in anything, when it comes to really, making the right decision, I usually defer to her.
Yeah, and I hear you're quite the old block.
Yes, sir.
How do you feel about your chimenea?
I like the chimenea. I bought it because I had decided to take my son camping and not made proper reservations for the camping spot one night. And so by the time we drove out there, they sent us home. And so my compromise to him was on the way back would buy the chimenea so we could make his s'mores in the backyard. And we've used it for s'mores a couple times. So we'll look now that it's winter time, and I can't wait to get out there, maybe make some s'mores with the chickens during the day.
I am thankful that I'm level-headed and practical, but so is my husband, and he brings adventure and fun, and over the course of our marriage, I really appreciate that he is spontaneous and is the kind of person who would just bring home chickens.
You know what? I can't deal with this conflict anymore.
Ice physics? Go
The
away.
two of you have been at each other's throats for an hour now. I cannot handle it. I got to get out of here. We'll be back in just a second with Judge John Hodgman's ruling. Hey, Max Fun listeners. It's Jesse, the founder of MaximumFun.org. I have some pretty incredible holiday news for you. So you remember last year's Max Fun Drive? We offered pins for all of our shows to folks who donated. And we agreed to donate all of the net revenue from the pins to the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank. Well, I, just yesterday, had the chance to hand a giant check to a representative from the food bank. And you're not going to believe how much money you gave to give needy families food. Over $100,000. $100,365 to be specific. That means nearly 500,000 meals for families who need food this year. I'm really proud of every single vegetable.
Come on, I missed the one.
Remarkable achievement. It's a beautiful thing. It completely obliterated my idea and expectation.
You're really calling this guy out. Median.
So, as you head into 2018, please be proud of what this amazing community did for hungry families in the Los Angeles area where Max Fun is based. If you'd like to keep the love rolling, go to lafoodbank.org/maximumfun.
No, it's something in the podcast.
That's lafoodbank.org/maximumfun, and you can make a tax-deductible donation there.
Oh, he's
Every
trying to
dollar that
it's
you
Judge
give
John Hodgman.
means 4 meals.
And he's like,
there's some. Thanks to
basically
all of
just
you
doesn't
who
want to be
support
like
everything
a
we do.
responsible pet
Incredible.
owner. He's got like chickens, and he's like, oh, I want them to just be free, and like, aka, don't want to have to like do anything with them and stuff, and like.
Judge Hodgman, while we're taking a quick break, we have dates on the horizon. We're heading to San Francisco.
I'm glad that there are dates on the horizon. I'm glad there's still a future, and glad that our future involves several appearances between the two of us at the Great San Francisco Sketch Fest, which really is, I think, the finest and densest comedy festival of the season in the great city of San Francisco, now enjoying, I believe it's 17th year of continuous operation, bringing fantastic comedy to the city by the bay. It opens on January 11th with what amazing opening performance, Jesse?
Well, with the Judge John Hodgman podcast at the Castro Theater.
Boy, oh boy, that is going to be a huge, great, wonderful show. Tickets are available at the San Francisco Sketch Fest website. Come see us at the Castro on the 11th, or if you have a case that you would like us to consider to hear live on stage at the Castro that night, just drop a line at maximumfun.org/JJHO. Fill out the form and make sure to mention that you are going to be at the show or would like to be or available to be.
I'm also doing Jordan Jesse Go the next night downtown alongside Andy Richter and the local band Bayonics is going to be there with us. That is going to be a hoot and a half if you want to come and see Bailiff Jesse swear a lot. And if you still have it in your heart to enjoy some more San Francisco Bay Area pandering, which is basically all I do the whole way through the SF Sketchfest.
I'm also glad to announce that I will be performing on the 12th of January, not in conflict with Jordan Jesse Go, earlier in the evening. For those of you who go to bed early, come check me out. At 7:30, I'll be at Sketchfest with Lance Bangs, the famous director of film and videos, the incredibly funny Dave Hill, as we pay tribute to legendary broadcaster Dick Cavett. Dick Cavett is an incredibly funny, smart, piercing intelligence that I've known for some time. He's one of the greatest interviewers and conversationalists of all time, and it is my great honor to be talking with him on stage and premiering some footage that Lance and Dick and I shot together at the Chateau Marmont Hotel a few years ago that have never otherwise been seen. So I hope you will come and check out the Dick Cavett 50th anniversary of the Dick Cavett Show tribute on the 12th of January. And then I will say one more thing about Sketchfest. On the 13th of January, I will be part of another incredible tribute to our mutual friend, the famous comedian and dear person, Paul F. Tompkins. That is happening on the 13th, which is a Saturday. And all of the details to this incredible lineup are available at sfsketchfest.com. Anything else, Jason?
Tickets for Max FunCon are on sale now and almost sold out. It is this spring in Southern California, a weekend in the woods with myself and most likely Judge Hodgman. I think he's been to every single one, although we don't announce the lineup.
Don't call me a baby.
Ahead of
So
time.
you and the baby.
Who knows? Who knows what person who's talking now might be there?
A few hundred other totally amazing people. It's an all-inclusive weekend of lectures and friendship and classes and performances, and it is a real hoot and
All right,
a half.
it's not this big chest.
You can find more information and tickets online at maxfuncon.com. It always sells out in the winter, so don't hesitate. Get your tickets. No, maxfuncon.com.
Fantastic. Shall we get back to the show?
Yes.
No.
Please rise as Judge John Hodgman re-enters the courtroom with his verdict.
You may be seated. So I'm going to keep my verdict brief because you, Gideon, and Cynthia wasted so much time up top being adorable. And the decision is fairly obvious here. First of all, let me commend you for having chickens and introducing your kids to the natural world in both its profound and sublime and hilarious beauty, aka Fluffy the chicken, and its harsher aspects as well, aka a raccoon killing Fluffy Feet to get to its sweet crop and leaving its mauled body there out amongst the porcheladas, or whatever they're called. I think it's really a lot of fun, and I don't want to hear any more about eggs. Eggs are a side product. They are the excuse to make your son write a business plan to provide proof of some level of responsibility for having pet chickens, and they are a little, as I say, omelet dividend at the end of the day. But these, chickens only lay eggs for a certain period of time in their life. Sometimes when they get raccoon spooked,
oh my God, it's got to be at the pedestal.
They won't lay them at all. That's not the point. You like to have these chickens around because they're weird and dumb and crazy, and you hold them and they're nice. That said, you know what else is beautiful? Succulents, gardens, all the work that Cynthia is putting in to this oasis that she has created for herself in the backyard. That's worth protecting. And you have, as has been established, many, many different kinds of yards. Front yards, side yards, backyards, rear yards, top yards, garage yards. I get it. You guys are yard rich. There is no reason why this oasis that Cynthia has created for herself and tends so carefully should be destroyed by these lovable but dumb and destructive pet chickens other than someone is too lazy to put them back where they belong, which is the side yard and or the garage, when the time comes for them to get back into their own world. That side yard is plenty of room for those chickens to spend most of their time. And I'm telling you, between clipping their wings and using your paw Ingalls skills to secure that area, there's no reason they should be able to escape from there. They are dumb animals. They are not clever Rhode Island Reds with the voice of Mel Gibson figuring stuff out. So, Pa Ingalls, you got to get back in there in that side yard, and you got to secure that stuff with something other than bead curtains. Not only for your backyard's protection, but for your chickens' protection. It would be great if your children took full care of the chickens and did so without prompting. And frankly, I think you're going to have a lot more success with your kids than I would have with my kids doing this, because I don't think either my son or daughter could ever put a bar graph into a business plan in order to get chickens. They would be like, too much work, forget it.
1 hour, 2 hours.
They're on their way, but they are still kids. They're still going to need prompting. They're going to still need pushing along. And ultimately, it's going to the responsibility for these pets, as with every pet ever owned by every family in the world, is going to fall to the parents. And specifically in this case, sorry, Gideon, it's going to fall to you. Because you show up at a house with chickens one day unannounced, it's on you to make sure that those chickens don't destroy your wife's garden. So I think my order is clear. Enjoy your chickens in your backyard when you're there. Otherwise, get them into their many, many other living situations that are perfectly wonderful for them. And until then, don't get any more birds. This is the sound of a gavel. Judge John Hodgman rules that.
Please rise as Judge John Hodgman exits the courtroom. Gideon, are you prepared to genuinely paw Ingalls this thing?
I swore to abide by the ruling of the court, so I will definitely try my best.
I think you can do this, Gideon.
I apologize for all the Mel Gibson references. That really was not planned.
Cynthia, how do you feel about the decision? Then afterwards, if you want, you can tell us how you feel about Mel Gibson.
I feel very relieved. I really was sad to see just bit by bit just my garden fall apart and see plants toppled over and pots broken. And I kind of felt that Gideon and the kids were a little bit indifferent and just telling me that I needed to chill and get over it. And it's just pots and, plant something else or... So I feel I wouldn't say vindicated, because I really love my husband and my kids, and I'm not that upset, but I feel satisfied, relieved, and grateful.
Well, Cynthia, Gideon, thank you so much for joining us on the Judge John Hodgman podcast. Another Judge John Hodgman case in the books. In just a minute, we'll dispense some swift justice, but we want to thank Jesse Madsen for naming this week's episode Coq au Bain. If you'd like to name a future episode like Judge John Hodgman on Facebook, that's where we ask for your submissions. You can follow us on Twitter at Jesse Thorne and at Hodgman. Hashtag your Judge John Hodgman tweets, hashtag JJHO, and check out the Maximum Fun subreddit to discuss this episode. You'll find that at MaximumFun.reddit.com. This week's episode was recorded by Marty Lester at Tequila Mockingbird Studios in Austin, Texas. Our brilliant producer is Jennifer Marmer.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Now, Swift Justice, where we answer your small disputes with quick judgment. Here's one from Amber. I refuse to accept my husband's friend request.
Oh my God, I hate those things!
Because he never posts anything. Am I right to deny him?
Yeah, of course you are, Amber.
Those things do the most damage to the game, except for
you should never feel compelled to accept a friend request of any kind, and especially from a lurker, even if that lurker is your husband. Tell him to get with the game with some pictures, and then maybe you'll be his friend.
Oh my God.
I like that icing.
Oh, so bad.
She's doing to her own husband.
Yeah.
That's about it for this week's episode. Submit your cases at MaximumFun.org/JJHO or email Hodgman@MaximumFun.org. Remember, no case is too small. All right, we'll see you next time on the Judge John Hodgman podcast.
Bark, bark. MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture. Artist owned.
Listener supported.
Welcome to Dark Poutine, a podcast about Canada's creepier side. My name is Mike Brown, creator and host. With me is my good friend, co-host, and underemployed sound engineer, Scott Hemingway. Say hello, Scott.
I love you all.
Okay, well, we have a little bit of an apology to make. Well, I don't know. Dear Edmonton listeners, although we stand by our last podcast, we hope we did not offend you too badly with what we said about your fine city. We think the Flames suck too, just so you know. So anyway, we actually got an email this week. Woo-hoo! Yeah, right? Here's a shout out to Carrie P. from Northeast Arkansas. She sent us a hello via email at darkpoutinepodcast@gmail.com. She said, just wanting to say, love, with capital Love, the podcast. The Halifax explosion episode was amazing. I didn't know that much about it, and it was very informative. Keep up the good work, lots of exclamation points. Can't wait to hear the next episode.
And Scott, you're the best. Oh, you're so funny.
She didn't say that.
Hilarity.
No.
I love you, Scott.
Narcissist. Thanks so much, Carrie. And we're so grateful that you're listening. We really do want to cover creepy Canadian things that some folks may not know about, even other Canadians, and particularly creepy Canadians, like me.
And me.
Right. We'll do some cases that people may be more familiar with.
You my key.
But twist. So let's get to it. Dark Poutine is not for the faint of heart or squeamish, as our content contains mature themes, harsh language, and graphic descriptions of violent crimes. Listener discretion, and often a sense of humor, is strongly advised. Your hosts are in no way experts on any of the topics we present, nor are we professional journalists. We just want to entertain you with the stories we tell. Put on your toque, grab a double-double, and a Nanaimo bar. It's time to scarf down some dark poutine. This case is going to be kind of tough for me. It takes place in my hometown, Nova Scotia, and the topic of the episode is the Carissa Boudreaux. Anybody who remembers it will remember it well. Anybody who doesn't will remember it after this episode, I'm sure. This literally hits very close to home for me, as most of the event took place in the neighborhood, the actual neighborhood I grew up in. So it's a little tough. Bridgewater is a town of just over 8,500 people. It's a 60-minute drive down the 103 highway from Nova Scotia's capital city, Halifax. We talked about Halifax in the Halifax explosion episode. If you're into a more scenic drive along the Atlantic Ocean, take the old number 3 highway, also known as the Lighthouse route. Along the way, you'll pass the iconic Peggy's Cove Lighthouse. You'll pass through the beautiful and idyllic little towns like Chester and Mahone Bay and Lunenburg, a UNESCO site. Look it up. The South Shore of Nova Scotia has a slow and easy pace. It's a wonderful area to relax and catch some sun and surf in the summertime at the many local beaches. I grew up there. It's a fantastic place to grow up too.
I've heard nothing but beautiful things about it.
It is great. Among its quaint charm, the South Shore does have some dark and interesting history. I won't get into it all here, but we'll highlight some of it. As you pass Peggy's Cove, for example, there's a stone memorial and small park dedicated to the memory of the 229 souls who perished on September 2nd, 1998. When Swiss Air Flight 111 plunged into the Atlantic Ocean on its way between New York and Geneva, Switzerland, after a fire on board. Yeah, Carol and I were on our honeymoon in PEI at the time. As I planned to do a podcast on that, one day.
Yeah, that'd be a fascinating topic. I remember that event quite well as well.
Yeah, I have some personal stories to share from that, but you will have to listen to our podcast on the Swissair Flight 111.
You're making me wait.
Yep, it's going to happen. Just outside Mahone Bay is Oak Island, something else we'll do an episode on. The same mysterious Oak Island that has drawn treasure hunters since the 1700s and is currently the star of a show called The Curse of Oak Island on the History Network. Have you ever watched it?
Yeah, I'm a glutton for anything reality TV based, especially if it's got something supernatural, superstitious.
Yeah,
anything that is mysteries. Yeah. So no, I watch it often.
So it's now in season 5. I went on the
this
tour
looks like it's
last
pointless.
summer.
So just go inside.
And I recorded it. Actually, I recorded Charles
But
Barkos
now if I die,
on the tour, but I
set
haven't
as my start.
edited
So
it, and that I will save for our podcast.
Use this
Nice of me. Anyway, it's in the 5th season, and the Medina brothers, who are American investors, are currently the ones trying to crack the mystery of Oak Island and uncover her possible treasures with the help of a few long-time treasure hunters and Oak Island experts. It's a pretty interesting show. The first 5 seasons, Carol hated it and said that nothing was happening, and it kind of wasn't.
I can understand that sentiment.
Yeah, but now stuff has happened in the 5th season. You gotta watch. I don't spoil it for anybody.
Aliens. They found aliens.
Damn you!
Underground aliens.
I told you I didn't want to spoil it.
Yeah, I couldn't keep it in.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, Bridgewater, where I'm from, is not known for its crime. Sure, stuff happens there. Stuff happened to me there, but that's for another time. Bridgewater is the type of place where you get your bike stolen. It gets found by the town police, and the thief gets his day in court, and then it's reported in the local newspaper's court report.
Serious business,
Serious
yes,
business. So murder is massive news there. I can only recall a single murder in the town during the time I lived there. In 1991, 2 years before I moved to Vancouver, I worked at a local coffee shop and convenience store called the Candy Center. A customer named Joseph Lorando was one of the regulars who would sit for hours, drink coffee, smoke cigarettes, and chat. He was a nice guy, smaller in stature and very slight. I remember his thick mustache and longer hair on the sides, and he was mostly bald on top. Apparently he was quite a musician. He had a nickname, but 25 years has gone by and I can't for the life of me remember it.
Can we make one up?
No.
Okay.
This next bit, you probably will regret saying that. One night in 1992, Joseph was stabbed. Do you regret it yet?
Instantly.
In his car in a darkened trailer park. I think it's Eisenhower Court is the name of it. And he died going from trailer to trailer looking for help. He bled out on a resident's steps. Can you imagine going out in the morning and finding some person you don't know dead on your steps?
I regret my comment even more.
Blood everywhere. His killer was a young man named Charles Wicker. That's Zwicker, who pled guilty to the lesser charge of manslaughter rather than undergo a trial and risk a life sentence. Apparently, Joseph and Charles were smoking a joint in Joseph's car, and according to Charles, Joseph made a homosexual advance on him, and Charles panicked, stabbing Joseph, and then he split. Nice. I knew Charles Wicker too, which was interesting. I was in Bridgewater Junior Fire Department when I was young. And in fact, I was the deputy chief at one point.
What a mistake.
Oh my god.
Light fires. I helped to prevent them.
Thus the mistake.
So anyway, we used to play ball hockey against other junior fire
Hit him.
departments.
Fire beam. Go! Hit him!
Was in the River Point Junior Fire Department. We played against them in the tournament. Charles in particular had an aggressive play style. We were a bit scared of him. He was a big, sort of like a beefy dude. But we could never have predicted his future as a murderer. The buzz about that murder rolled through Bridgewater for months, and it was a popular topic of conversation for quite some time. It wasn't until January 27, 2008, when 12-year-old Carissa Boudreau went missing that the town had another event like that. According to Carissa's mother, Penny Boudreaux, she and her daughter had an argument in Penny's car in the Sobeys parking lot at the Bridgewater Mall around 5:30 p.m. It's where we used to get people to go in and buy our beer. Penny said she went inside to pick up some grocery items, and Carissa was gone when she returned 15 minutes later. Penny said she looked around the darkened parking lot and drove around looking for her preteen daughter. Not finding Carissa after a frantic search, she called police around 8:35 p.m. that evening. They searched the parking lot with a canine, but no trace of the girl was found. Carissa had left her cell phone in her mother's car and only had a few dollars in her pocket. She couldn't have gone far. Had Carissa run away, upset with the argument she had with her mother? An unconfirmed but persistent rumor was that the fight was over Carissa's involvement with an older boy her mother disapproved of, but that was never officially came out. But people I know told me that, but I don't know if that's fact. That's, like I said, a rumor. Had Carissa been taken by somebody? Her father, Paul Boudreaux, lived 100 kilometers away further down the South Shore in a little town called Shelburne. He had not seen or heard from Carissa since she'd gone missing, and he was worried sick. So, I mean, obviously, police talked to him.
Yeah, step one is always look at family.
Yeah, and have conversations. Maybe she's just there, right? Like maybe she just took off.
Yeah, maybe she was just upset over the argument and wanted to go live with her dad.
Hang out with dad. Yeah. No one knew for sure, but the assumption was that Carissa was pissed off at her mother and took off to be with friends. Snow began to fall later that night, and concern grew as the young girl was not dressed for the weather. Carissa had been wearing pink Crocs, jeans, t-shirt, black hoodie, and a black vest. Extremely light for a Nova Scotia winter night. Carissa was still missing the next morning. Police notified other police agencies in the regions. They also notified the local press. Bridgewater's radio station, CKBW, we used to call it Scaby Radio. It wasn't good. It's still, well, I don't know. It's not
Scabies or the station?
Yeah, it was the only radio station we had to listen to, really. And
take what you can get?
Yep. I learned a lot about country music.
Oh.
Yep. Some rock and roll. They did talk about it too. Anyway, CKBW began to broadcast the story of missing Carissa Boudreaux along with a description of her and what she was wearing. And although I live on the other coast now, here in Vancouver, I found out about the story of Carissa Boudreaux missing from my hometown very quickly. Our many friends on Facebook were posting and reposting about the story. Most of the folks I know back there were parents by the time, and they were horrified at the thought that a child had gone missing in that small town. They wanted to help find Carissa, of course. I personally became obsessed with the story because it was all happening very close to where I was from.
That personal connection will really have things stand out for you.
It absolutely did, as we'll find out here. Carissa lived in an apartment building on Jubilee Road, about 300 meters from my mom and dad's place. I knew the apartment complex well. I had frequented it in my darker days. It was at times called Little Harlem, but not because of anything racist or anything like that. The apartment buildings were filled with lower-income families struggling to get by, many of whom were receiving monthly welfare checks. So it was more classist than racist.
Not any better. But.
Yeah. So Carissa was missing. On January 29th, 2 days after she was last seen in the mall parking lot, her mother, Penny Boudreaux, with her boyfriend, Vernon McCumber, at her side, comforting her, took part in a press conference hosted by the Bridgewater Police Department. In this audio clip, Penny Boudreaux explains why she and Carissa were out that evening, and then she makes an impassioned plea for Carissa to come home or contact her family.
I took her for a drive that day just to try to have a heart-to-heart with her in a place, like in a car she can't get away and slam her door, which she usually does to me. Her grandparents are looking for you. All of us are. I don't know where you are, but just come home or call or something, please. And all your friends are looking for you, and We're all worried. We just want you home safe.
Thank you for coming today.
Penny said she and Carissa had argued over typical teenage things, nothing out of the ordinary. At the same time, in Hebbville, about a kilometer or so from the apartment that Carissa lived in with Penny and Vernon, volunteers in the Lunenburg County Ground and Search and Rescue were hard at work scouring the area off William Hebb Road after someone called in with an ominous tip. I remember William Hebb Road as an isolated dark dirt road off Bridgewater's Pine Street. There were no street lights. We used to go up there off in one of the logging roads to drink alcohol and other things that teenagers do when we were underage. The police rarely came up there and never caught us. The road was so undertraveled that the son of a family who we were close with had committed suicide in his car there, but was not found for some time. The tipster, a local resident driving along, noticed something pink near the road. Remembering that Carissa had been wearing pink Crocs, he pulled over and discovered that it was in fact a size 8 pink Croc he had seen. Police began to suspect foul play, but held back this evidence from the public. On January 30th, posters with Carissa's face and details regarding her disappearance were put up all over town. The rumors and speculation were already swirling. Maybe Carissa had not run away at all. Was she even still alive? On January 31st, the weather improved. 2 police officers took to the air in the Department of Natural Resources helicopter, combing the area near the Bridgewater Mall situated on the banks of LaHave River. As well, they looked at the woods around the town and up and down the 103 highway. There was still no trace of Carissa Boudreau. On February 1st, police held another press conference with Penny Boudreau, making more pleas for her daughter or anyone who might know where she is to reach out. Penny said, "I'm trying not to think the worst. It's plain and simple hell. Not knowing where your kids are is horrible." Sergeant John Collier of the Bridgewater Police said, "We've had some sightings. We have not been able to conclusively say that it was her. Investigators are also probing the possibility of foul play, including interviewing family members and trying to determine when Carissa was last seen by someone outside the immediate family. This has been a criminal investigation almost from day one. That would be standard operating procedure for any police agency where the circumstances are a mystery. We do not have any evidence to point to anything that is criminal at this point, and believe me, we've explored that, but we'll continue to explore down that road. The family has been very cooperative with us in anything we've asked, and we have no reason to believe at this point that there's any reason to disbelieve what Mom has told us," he said. 2 weeks prior to Carissa's disappearance, there had also been an attempted child abduction in Liverpool, just a 20-minute drive away. Perhaps the two could be connected. At the same press conference, police said that there were no surveillance videos of the parking lot to show what had happened to Carissa, although there was video of Penny inside the Sobeys store. The Bridgewater Police, RCMP, and volunteer searchers continued to look for the missing girl. People began to fear the worst. Investigators had also spoken with Carissa's friends and other family at home in Bridgewater and in Shelburne, where her father lived. Her MSN account and Facebook were being monitored, but there was no activity. On February 6th, RCMP divers took to the LaHave River near the Bridgewater Mall, searching thoroughly. They came to the conclusion that Carissa Boudreau was not in the river. Over the week, around 13,000 people had joined Facebook groups dedicated to the search of Carissa, myself included, and details of her disappearance were shared thousands of times. I feel very emotional about this one.
Yeah, I can imagine, Mike.
Yeah, it just, like I say, it's so close to home.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just, we'll carry on. On February 9th, another mother and her young son were driving along Route 331, what locals call the River Road, in Concord Bank. Just outside the town limits, the little boy told his mom he had to badly needed to pee. They pulled off the road into a parking lot that formerly housed the old Irving Oil building, now vacant. As the young man went to the riverbank, he noticed what appeared to be a frozen body in the snow close to the river. Terrified, the child ran back to his mother's car and told her what he'd seen. The woman came out and had a look and feared the same thing. As Carissa's disappearance was pretty much the only news story anybody was paying attention to that week, I'm pretty sure that thoughts immediately went to Carissa Boudreaux.
Let's check
The woman and her son flagged down another motorist, and police were called right away. At 11:35 a.m., Bridgewater Police Department received a 911 call from a citizen reporting that her 9-year-old son had found a body. The Bridgewater police were first on scene and immediately secured the area. The RCMP Major Crimes Unit and a detective from Bridgewater Police Department observed the body and determined that it was the body of a young Caucasian female, semi-nude. The body appeared to be that of Carissa Boudreaux based upon facial and physical observations. The next day, police confirmed through the press that it was indeed the body of a white female they had found near the La Have, but a positive identification had not yet been made. Facebook posts galore speculated it had been the body of Carissa Boudreaux, but many decided to wait and find out positively whether or not it was. The location of the body is very familiar to me, and it hit me really, really hard. It was under a kilometer from my family home.
Wow.
There used to be a wharf and a building on the site at which oil tankers would dock in the shadow of the now dismantled Irving oil tanks that stood across the road. As kids, we used to play there in the area. There were a few abandoned cars from the 30s and 40s rusting away and riddled with bullet holes from bored hunters nearby. We used to play cops and robbers there, imagining these cars were owned by the likes of Al Capone or someone like some other famous gangster. I'm pretty sure they weren't Capones, as Chicago was half a country away. That would have been a long way to go to hide a few cars. My friends used to climb the oil tanks at night and get chased off by the police, or as we referred to them, the town clowns. I never climbed the tanks myself. I'm still scared shitless of heights. After the discovery of the body, residents were terrified that there was a very bad person in their midst and kept their kids on a close tether. The corpse found by the river was so frozen that an autopsy could not be performed until February 13th, 4 days after the discovery.
Jeez.
Dr. Paul Miller, a dental surgeon, reviewed Carissa Boudreaux's dental charts and casts of her upper and lower teeth. He compared those to the body, and everyone's fears were confirmed. This was Carissa Boudreaux. Dr. Matt Bowes, Nova Scotia medical examiner, completed the post-mortem. The cause of death was determined to be asphyxiation. Evidence indicated Carissa had been strangled by way of ligature. There were no other injuries on her body. This was no accident. 20-year-old Carissa Boudreaux, a girl described by her family as a homebody and a bit of a loner, had been murdered. She was a typical preteen who liked dancing and singing to her favorite songs and playing video games. Now she was gone, and in the worst way possible. On February 14th, Valentine's Day, Bridgewater Police held another press conference and confirmed to the residents of the small town and the rest of the nation that the body they had found was Carissa Boudreaux, and that this missing person case was now a homicide investigation.
Vanilla Boots?
The very same day, two Bridgewater residents were arrested and held for 24
hours.
Alright,
let's finish this fucking
questioned
shit.
regarding Carissa's murder. They were later released, but the rumors and accusations flew on social media. As in most towns, gossip abounds in Bridgewater. Everyone had a theory.
Yeah, I bet.
People wanted to know who did this awful thing, and they wanted to know right now. The police chief, Brent Crowhurst, and Mayor Carol Publicover, who coincidentally had been the vice principal of my elementary school, begged for people to remain calm and told them that investigators believe Carissa's murder to be an isolated incident. At least 20 investigators comprised of local police and RCMP were working tirelessly to solve the case. On February 19th, Carissa's funeral was held. Hundreds of people packed a church in Shelburne County where Carissa's father and grandparents reside. She was laid to rest in a cemetery in the community of Clark's Harbor. A large memorial service was held for Carissa in Bridgewater on February 23rd, 2008. She was being called Bridgewater's daughter. A makeshift memorial of teddy bears and flowers was set up at the site where Carissa was found. The mourners had to leave something there for her. It came to light that on February 11th at 2:30 p.m., 2 days after the discovery of the body on the riverbank, neighbors of Penny Boudreau and Vernon McCumber heard a loud argument coming from their apartment. The neighbor said Vernon was clearly upset, throwing things around the apartment. He and Penny were stomping back and forth. Vernon told Penny he was leaving her. The neighbors heard water running. They said it sounded like Penny Boudreau was in the tub. Vernon was saying over and over, "Pen, how could you do this?" And he was disgusted with her. He was saying, "Pen, come on, speak, Pen. How could you do this? How could you do this? I don't understand. You got me involved." He also said that he wasn't going to help her. Investigators already had concerns regarding Penny Boudreau's possible involvement in Carissa's murder. A police behavioral analyst had noted Penny Boudreau's reactions in her 2 press conferences did not appear genuine. The 2 individuals arrested on February 14th were indeed Penny Boudreau and Vernon McCumber. Police grilled them for a full day. During their time in local holding cells, police employed a controversial investigative technique called Mr. Big.
The BMOS? The laser shooting thing?
I hate using Wikipedia, but whatever. Mr. Big, sometimes known as the Canadian technique, is a covert investigation procedure used by undercover police to elicit confessions from suspects in cold cases, usually murder.
They basically do the same thing.
Police officers create a fictitious criminal organization, then seduce the suspect into joining it. They build a relationship with the suspect, gain his confidence, and then enlist his help in a succession of criminal acts. For example, credit card scams, selling guns. Once the suspect has become enmeshed in the criminal gang, he is persuaded to divulge information about the specific crime under investigation. The Mr. Big technique has come under a lot of fire recently after 2 alleged terror suspects in BC were acquitted as courts felt they were entrapped into making and placing bombs at the provincial legislature in Victoria, doing something they may never have done without police involvement. As well, the Mr. Big technique had been highlighted in the coverage of the Raffay family murders in Washington State in 1994. The suspects fled to Canada, where U.S. authorities partnered with the RCMP to obtain confessions from Sebastian Burns and Atif Raffay. Some say they used the Mr. Big technique to coerce these guys, and that led to their confessions and ultimately to their conviction. The Netflix show called The Confession Tapes covers the case in detail. As well, the podcast True Crime Garage recently did an excellent 2-part episode on the murders and subsequent investigations. No admissions to Carissa's murder were obtained at the time of the Valentine's Day arrest, but Vernon McCumber and the undercover operator made a bit of a connection, I guess a love connection or whatever, and promised to catch up more on the outside. Police released the pair without charges, although investigators were unable to clear Boudreau and McCumber. They did not have enough to hold them further. They remained suspects in the case. As well, police executed several search warrants related to the case. One was at the Jubilee apartment where Boudreau and McCumber lived with Carissa. Neighbors also said that police removed Ms. Boudreau's car, the red Neon she had been driving the night of Carissa's disappearance. Almost halfway between my parents' house and the Jubilee Apartments is the local swimming pool I used to haunt almost daily as a kid in the summertime. The pool was just up through the woods behind our house and past the museum through the park. It was so close that our cat, a tabby named Frisky, used to crawl under the fence and hang out watching people swim. She was like the swim team mascot of the successful Bridgewater Barracudas. My sister swam for them throughout her childhood and into her teens. Frisky even showed up in a few Barracudas team photos in the 80s. Crazy cat. On February 25th, 2008, a local resident was at the playground right next to the pool. He checked a garbage can there for recyclables and saw what he thought to be a pink sandal. He returned home and his fiancée, and he had a little bit of a discussion about what he'd seen. Having been interested in the Boudreau case, the woman remembered that Carissa had been wearing pink Crocs. The two returned to the bin and found it was a pink Croc. They called police, who arrived, took photos, and retrieved a left size 8 pink Croc, a black hoodie, and a black vest. The citizen said these items had not been in the bin when he checked a month prior. The crock matched the right one found on William Hebb Road. DNA evidence would later prove conclusively that the items belonged to Clarissa Boudreaux, but this evidence was holdback evidence to weed out false confessions and hopefully identify a killer. On the same day, February 25th, 2008, Vernon McCumber again met with the man he'd met in a lockup on Valentine's Day, who, unknown to him, was an undercover cop.
The big key.
The operative was wired for sound, and a conversation
That's
between
not what
him and McCumber was recorded, in which he offered Vernon some easy work for his crime syndicate. In Canada, it's not illegal for you to record conversations you're having with others, even if the other person hasn't consented. These recordings can be used as evidence in legal proceedings, but you cannot record a conversation you're not participating in without legal authorization.
Come on!
So they could record Vern to their heart's content as long as one of them was the one who was doing the recording.
Yeah, interesting.
Yep. Over the ensuing weeks, the RCMP undercover operator met with McCumber numerous times, involving Vernon in various small crimes, thus gathering his trust. The typical Mr. Big technique. Mm-hmm. On April 1st, 2008, Penny and Vernon left the Jubilee Apartments and moved to Halifax. Vernon had left his job in Bridgewater due to the public investigation and his inability to bear the rumors about his involvement in Carissa's murder, which were flying throughout the small town. At a meeting with the undercover operator on April 16th, 2008, Vernon finally started talking a bit about Clarissa Boudreaux. He told the operator he had nothing to do with Carissa's disappearance or her murder. He claimed he'd been asleep when Penny and Clarissa left. He went on to tell the operator that he thought Penny Boudreaux was responsible for Carissa's death and that he only stayed with her to keep her close so she would not point the finger at him for the crime.
That's a weird way to...
Class. On May 3rd,
I can't. There's nothing to grapple down there. So that one little jump I had to knock myself
for a job,
or I had to like
and
go all the way
suggested
around.
Penny Boudreaux.
So
they
it's
asked
just a
him to
little
run it
quicker.
by her to see if she was
Yeah, that's
interested.
fine.
Penny immediately became involved in the work for the operators, not suspecting that they were actually cops, as Vernon had been involved with them for months. So again, like here we are doing that Mr. Big thing. They gain your trust completely, and then get you to do stuff.
Yeah, it's an effective but
kind of
questionable
Much faster if I get first try.
Yeah,
tactic, but
it's interesting. I guess if somebody's not a bad person, they may not get involved at all.
Yeah, it's controversial, the tactic.
Yep. On May 8th, 2008, on the 3-month anniversary of the discovery of Clarissa Boudreaux's body, local media outlets were reporting that DNA evidence was assisting police in their search for Carissa's murderer. Penny Boudreaux was visibly upset in her subsequent meetings with the undercover police, worrying about what cops knew and the fact that her place of work had been revealed in the news reports really bothered her. Little did she know she was already talking with the cops.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I mentioned to you when we were going over this before how I feel like maybe they released that to put the pressure on her, to maybe upset her a little bit and get her talking.
Oh, I have no doubt. It's a very, very smart strategic tactic a lot of law enforcement will use, especially when you've got somebody embedded in the social circle of the said criminal.
Yeah.
When you put something out in the media like that, the criminal will often react, panic, start watching their back. And so if you have somebody who can be there and observing it, it's a brilliant tactic.
Yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, on May 14th, 2008, Penny Boudreaux met with the undercover operators again. She made a comment this time that she wished the police exhibit vault would burn down or blow up.
That's what you want.
She did that.
Yeah, just emotional.
Yeah. Based on evidence to this point, on June 2nd, 2008, investigators obtained permission to intercept Penny Boudreaux's private communication for 60 days. This meant police could tap Penny's phone and possibly intercept email and social media communications, but it's not been made public how much they did. On June 11, 2008, Penny met with yet another undercover operator who said he had connections and was capable of making her problem disappear. This man claimed to be the head of the crime syndicate that she and Vernon had been working for. So this was Mr. Big. Here we go. He really needed to know that she was trustworthy prior to going ahead and assisting her. She had to tell him the whole story about what happened with Carissa. What do you think she did?
Oh, I think she goes along with it.
Yeah. Penny told the undercover investigator the following, and this is all taken from the statement of facts from records at Penny Boudreau's trial. So you can see where this is going. Note, this is actually going to be kind of tough for me to read. The events that we are about to describe are extremely graphic, and listener discretion is again strongly advised. I'm reading kind of verbatim from the statement of facts, and
it's heavy.
It's pretty heavy. So
try that again.
Here goes nothing. Penny Boudreau and Vernon McCumber were having issues because of Carissa. McCumber actually gave her an ultimatum to either pick him or Carissa. Boudreau states that Vernon McCumber had nothing to do with the murder and that it was she who strangled Carissa. Boudreau said it was Sunday, January 27, 2008, the day she killed Carissa. Boudreau said she and Carissa went out for a drive around 3 or 4 p.m. They drove for a couple hours to Lunenburg and back and were talking. She felt things got a little out of hand and both of them were angry. Boudreau said she did what she had to. Boudreau drove to the Sobeys parking lot around 5:30 p.m. and went in to get some juice and bacon. Carissa was still in her vehicle, alive. She called McCumber to tell him that Carissa was not in the car when she came out of the Sobeys. She left a message on the phone. She returned to her car, put the groceries in the trunk. While she did this, she grabbed a piece of beige twine and put it in her pocket, as she knew she had to do away with her. Carissa kept wanting to get out of the car, so Boudreau waited until it was dark and drove to William Hebb Road and told Carissa that if she wanted to get out, then to get out. Boudreau said she couldn't let her go back and tell people what a horrible mom she was. Boudreau said they both got out of the car, and it was snowy. Dark night.
Of course.
Boudreau went to grab her, but it was slippery, so she pushed/tackled her, and Carissa fell on her back. The only thing Carissa said to her was, "Mommy, don't." Boudreau said that Carissa was scared. Boudreau used her knee on Carissa's chest to pin her down. Carissa's hands were under her, so she couldn't move her hands, and Boudreau used her knees to pin her down so she couldn't fight back. Boudreau was face to face with her. Boudreau wrapped the rope around her hands and put the rope around Carissa's neck and pulled in a crisscross motion with all her strength until she could no longer feel her breathing. Throughout all of this, Boudreau said she could feel Carissa trying to move her hands and that they were digging into the ground. Carissa's eyes were bulging. Her tongue was stuck between her teeth and foam/drool was coming from her mouth, and she could hear her heaving for air.
This is terrible.
Boudreau said that when there was no more breathing, she dragged Carissa's body and put her in the passenger seat of the vehicle and mostly a heap on the floor, then drove to Bridgewater to decide what to do next. Boudreau placed the twine in an empty Tim Hortons cup, which she then threw into the garbage can at Tim Hortons on High Street. Boudreau drove on King Street past Pendleton Store to the turn-off spot. She parked the car, turned it and the lights off, and dragged Carissa's body out of the car using her blue jeans as leverage. Carissa's pants, pink underwear, and striped socks came off as she was dragging Carissa to the bank's edge. Boudreau felt this would make people think Carissa had been sexually assaulted. Boudreau stated that Carissa's hoodie and vest came off and she was just left wearing her t-shirt with one pant leg and her jeans. Boudreau then rolled her over the edge of the bank, knowing that the weather was calling for lots of snow and that she wouldn't be found for a while. Carissa landed amongst trees and didn't hit the river. Boudreaux got back in her car, took the hoodie, vest, croc, and threw them in the garbage can at the Bridgewater swimming pool. She by then realized she only had one croc. Boudreaux went home around 7 to 7:30 and told Macomber that Carissa was missing. She called police around 8. She called family, friends, and teachers to check with them. Boudreaux said she would do anything for Vernon, and the thought of losing him was harder than the thought of losing her daughter. So I hear you sighing over there.
Yeah. I've got 2 young daughters, almost 8 and 10.
Yeah.
And so anything that has to do, any story that has to do with children has quite the impact on me.
Well, me too, and I don't even have
For sure. The rage that is inside me right now, like I'm over here twitching, my feet are twitching. I just like,
so angry.
yeah, I'm full of rage and anger. I can't. It's the innocence of a child. I don't care how much turmoil is in a relationship. No. Yeah, and her apparent lack of remorse immediately after, thinking about how, this will look good, like she was sexually assaulted and stuff. I'm not detecting any remorse. I despise this lady right now.
Yeah.
I despise her.
Yeah, well, as a lot of others do.
Yeah.
So, Penny physically reenacted the murder of her daughter.
All right, and time starts when we went through the door.
With a statement out longhand with pen and paper. I'm wondering if, did she really think that they were going to blow up the police evidentiary locker, or did she actually suspect that these were cops? And maybe she was just so relieved at getting, maybe a part of her knew.
I think that, I think you're spot on. I think it's probably a combination of both. I think she definitely felt she needed to get this off her chest, and while in that moment not caring if it would lead to
whatever
arrest.
Yeah. She then agreed to travel back to Bridgewater with these men and led them to William Hebb Road, where the first croc was found. That was where she'd murdered Carissa. Again, reenacting and recounting the murder for operatives. She took them to the turnout on the old Irving Oil property where she dumped Carissa's body, again reenacting what happened there. She told the undercover operators that she had been considering the murder for a few days prior to actually getting up the courage to act. It was premeditated. Upon returning to Halifax, the undercover operators asked Penny for the clothing she wore on the night of the murder. They told her it was so they could dispose of the evidence, but they were actually collecting it. Penny provided it to them. On the morning of June 14th, 2008, Penny Boudreaux was arrested and questioned by the RCMP, but clammed up initially. In the afternoon, they played portions of the recordings they had made over the weeks of their sting operation, focusing on the Penny confessions to the undercover officers on the 11th. Penny cratered and confirmed what she had already admitted was true. She wrote another official statement outlining her actions on the night of January 27, 2008, admitting, I'm having trouble even saying it. She's admitting to murdering her own daughter, Carissa.
Yeah, we did say this was heavy.
Yeah. Penny also handwrote a letter to her murdered child expressing her feelings about having committed the crime. I don't know what... Did the police initiate that?
Yeah, it's weird.
Do you know what I mean? Like, why would they want her to do that?
Well, speaking from experience in therapy, it is often suggested to write a letter to whomever may have traumatized you, and so that would be a traumatizing event. So it could have been, mentioned through therapy at that time.
I don't know.
It could have just been through the cops. I don't
This was at the time when the police were interviewing her.
Yeah, I don't get the feeling that she took it upon herself to feel remorseful.
No. No, or maybe it was a play, you know. Don't put me in jail forever.
It could be, yeah.
The police held another press conference that day and let the public know that an arrest had been made. Here's the audio of the RCMP Superintendent Blair McKnight.
34-year-old Penny Patricia Boudreau was arrested on Friday, June 13th in Halifax. She will answer to the charge of first-degree murder on Monday, June 16th at Bridgewater Provincial Court.
On January 27, 2009, while the Crown and Penny Boudreau's attorney were planning for her murder trial, just a few days later, a crowd of 200 people gathered in Shipyards Landing just down the road from the site where Carissa's body was found. They held a candlelight vigil to commemorate the first anniversary of Carissa's murder. On January 30th, 2009, Penny Boudreau pled guilty to the lesser charge of second-degree murder. Although she had planned the crime, prosecutors agreed with the defense attorneys that a lengthy trial would put the family and the community through even more grief, and no one wanted that. The presiding judge stated, "The guilty plea is a public expression of responsibility for taking the life of another human being.
Well,
In doing so, she has saved the considerable state resources, but more importantly, she has prevented further suffering to the community, and most importantly, suffering to Carissa's true family
I'm always
and
curious
friends."
what other people's.
I say true
times would be in
family
the same
because
seat.
surely, Penny Boudreau,
Sorry
you
to
can never call yourself
people to run the
mother
same
in
seat that you just
conjunction
did.
with Carissa's
I
name
guess you could
again.
ask them to.
And the words "mommy don't" from a trusted
should enter
and
racism,
loving
then I'd know,
Carissa are there to haunt you for the rest of your natural life.
It's powerful and really, really accurate, in my opinion.
Yep. Penny was sentenced to life in prison, which in Canada means 25 years. As the crime was so heinous, the eligibility for parole was set to no less than 20 years. Too short, in my opinion.
Yes, mine as well.
Yep. Paul Scoville, one of the Crown attorneys, gave a brief statement to reporters outside the court about some of the facts of the case. Most chilling was the following.
She was alive and well when she was at the parking lot at Sobeys, and when Miss Boudreau made the call to Mr. McCumber and reported her missing. She was still in the car, still alive, and it was from there at the Sobeys that she took her to the Williams Head Road and strangled her.
Penny's father, Paul Boudreau, also gave a statement that day.
I can't call it anything other than a senseless act. I mean, the options were there, and you know, for a parent to just make that decision, I still can't comprehend it. She had many options. There was many people around her that would have gladly, you know, had I known this was going to happen, I would never ever let her go back. But I mean, what parent's going to try to, say, no, you can't go back and see your mother?
The case that had horrified my hometown was over, but Carissa's memory lived on. For at least 5 years after Carissa's death, the older sister of a good friend of mine organized an annual pet food drive to be held on the anniversary of Carissa's murder. Carissa had loved animals and wanted to be a veterinarian one day. I'm not sure this pet food drive is still going on. Yeah, this was a tough one for me, having grown up within a kilometer of the whole event, the murder, where the body was found. Wow.
Yeah, it must do some mess with your head a bit because you have such positive memories of a lot of these places from growing up, and now you connect those places to
a murder.
This horrible crime.
Yeah, a murder where a mother killed her child.
Which just, as I talked about earlier, these are the things that just set me off.
Yeah.
Like it's, as a parent, and I'm sure not even having children yourself, you can still recognize how,
well, for sure,
how evil it is to kill, especially your own child.
Well, yeah, and the fact that it happened in my little tiny town of 8,500 people, it really affected some people
Only
there.
11 bombs.
I know, quite badly. I remember having Facebook conversations with some of the folks who are parents there, and they were so upset.
Mm-hmm.
It was a tough time for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the first or last time anything kind of weird has happened near my parents' place. I remember one story. The police had to, essentially they chased a guy up
to the same road, the William Hebb Road, where Carissa was murdered. So the police were chasing this guy
Shoot that road down.
past Mom and Dad's place and up into
there was definitely
like a
one
quarry up
death.
in there, and they had a gun battle
Right?
with this guy up there.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, my parents heard, the shooting. And
Maybe there was.
Jeez,
I don't think so,
craziness,
though.
Yeah, and obviously that guy didn't get out of there alive. He was suicide by cop, I guess.
Yeah, I think when you get involved in a gunfight with the police, there's an expectation that you're not going to make it out alive.
Yeah, so that's some dark poutine from
Thanks for watching.
my very little
Have a good
hometown.
day.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, there's another